It's a lot.
6 months. But how close are you? Like,
She's my girl. I have dinner at hers. She has dinner at my place. How do I say this? TT knows her. He calls her Auntie Erica. It's weird.
Now, I done already told you about these episodes. They're moving nuts, okay? But we are now episode 6 and 7. I'm going to break this down. Can I just say this first and foremost? There's a lot of craziness happening within each couple as well, right? So first and foremost, let me quickly break it down. But if you're here, new to the channel, make sure you like, share, subscribe, click on that bell button for notifications of the uploads. Let's get into this. Crazy, okay? Quickly want to talk about the fact that Tatiana and Yanick, their situation, he had a mother situation where the mother was wild, and I can't lie to you in episode 7. And then we see in episode 6, he's dated one of her friends who is now an ex, but he only dated for like between 6 to 12 months. He wasn't even sure. I don't know what was going on. People just be throwing out these dates when it comes to exes. Did you date for 6 months or 12 months? That's a lot of time in between, my guy. Is it 6 or 12? Choose one. But Yanick and Tatiana, they're in a road bump situation right now. I don't think they should be getting married. If I'm honest with you, I just don't think they're ready for that relationship to go further than what it is right now. I don't think it's meant to be. Okay, that's the first thing. We'll talk about them in a few minutes' time. We had Sabrina. We had Van Mai. Look, I'm sorry, but Sabrina's a crash out artist. I've said this before. I said it in the pods before. Whenever somebody says they're possessive, it usually follows with crash out behavior and usually follows with very mad behavior. She's a crash out. I'm sorry, is what it is. She is a crash out artist. Okay, all right. The way she handled him in the house, in a friendship group, having a party, and decided to bring up the issues. Then you're a crash out artist, and then the next day you're coming to apologize. Yeah, you're still a crash out artist. And then she went to see the family, and she went and told the family she's possessive. I said, this ain't gonna go well. Sis, you purporting yourself like you know, like you ain't gonna, doo-doo up yourself. But my friend, you're moving mad right now. Okay, moving very, very mad. Okay, all right. With we. It's moving mad. Moi. Okay, all right. So that was crazy. Then we also had Kim and Thomas. I'm gonna be real with you. They broke up for a little while. Thomas, listen, as much as I don't like Kim. Thomas, this whole getting emotional, okay, we're done, and we come back. I can't take it, bro. You know what I'm saying? I've been there before and I know how it feels. The reality situation is the reason why you're breaking up so quickly is because you know it's wrong. Save yourself the hassle. Don't waste time. Don't do anything extra. Get out of there while you can. Save yourself. Okay? And that's that with them. Then we had Alexander and Chloe. Yeah, Alexander's not sure of Chloe. He gonna keep punishing her by distancing himself because he's not ready to marry. He's just not ready to marry her. And I think that's a key thing. He just needs to be honest with himself. He's not fully convinced by her. I don't think this is a commitment issue. This feels like I don't like you enough to commit. Okay? That's what I feel like. He don't like her enough to commit. And then we also had Cynthia and Jonathan. Now, Cynthia, what the heck are we doing? We left this man behind after the whole short fiasco situation. Why are we coming back to do Trent Coat stuff and then come and try to woo this man again? Leave him where he is. Okay? You coming back, not necessary. Okay? We don't need it. Leave it alone. Okay? We found out that obviously the other couple, sorry. We found out Yanick and Tatiana. Their situation's mad. It's mad. And I'll tell you why. It's mad because the ex situation, which is crazy, and I've already kind of said this already. How do you handle a situation where your best friend is actually an ex of your partner and you didn't know? You know what I mean? Like that's a very difficult situation. I can't lie to you. But we'll discuss that in a minute or two. Charles and Julie, you know what? I just feel like the crash is coming soon. Okay. Now, Julie keeps talking about how she loves him. I think the crash is coming out soon. Right now, she's bearing and gritting it, and she's making it through. She tells us she loves that man and how she cares about him. They've even had sex. So something has changed. She's opened up herself and given up the pom-poms. Okay. Does that mean something's gonna be better? Not necessarily. Okay. Does that mean that that's the one? Not necessarily. Okay. All right. But I can see that, people are going to say that she grew in the love. We'll see. We'll give it a bit of time and see. That's what I'm going to say. Because an ugly person to you only needs to make one mistake. Okay? All right? That's what I'm going to say. An ugly person just needs to make one mistake to you and they go back to being ugly. Okay? But let's break this down because you know how I like to do. I like to break things all the way down. You know how I like to do. Okay. All right, let's get into this. Let's break this first part down, episode 6. Let's talk about some of these couples, okay? And some of these key moments that actually took place in the moment, okay? I want to see this particular aspect. So I'll quickly just do Alexander and Chloe situation. I think them, you know, I have hope for them, but I know it's not going to work. You know, the ones there, you have hope for somebody, but you know it's not going to work. You know it's not. Chloe is putting in far more work than Alexandra because she wants him, but he does not want her. And that's just the honest truth. Like, and if he's honest with himself, he will save her heartbreak. If Alexander could be honest about how he really feels about her, he can save himself the whole issue. But no, he won't. Okay, so let's have a look.
I haven't called anybody yet. I need to plan some stuff and make some calls.
My friend Steph is the one who convinced me to sign up for the show. She was on the plane.
All right, cool. So Alexander and Chloe. Okay. So here's the thing. I think we know that obviously later on he put on a party for all the castmates to come into the house. He decorated, he made the food as well. So clearly he can do it, right? What we're seeing with Alexander and Chloe is that he struggles to make a choice quickly, which is fair. Take your time with it. I understand there's pressure. The fear that he has is that if he marries her, he's making a mistake. And that's because he doesn't trust his own judgment and his own discernment, which means there's work to be done on himself where he needs to recognize what is it that you actually need. The reason why you struggle to be able to make a decision about committing to someone is usually because you don't know what you need. And because you don't know what you need, you're waiting for a feeling. And you have to understand that feelings come and they go. What you need is somebody that's going to match your needs. And when you're not acquainted and close with your needs, you don't know if you can make a correct judgment on the person who's in front of you. So in this scenario, what we're seeing with him and Chloe is they get along and he seems to be involved. And then suddenly he just kind of like drops off the face of the planet. He disappears and he goes into AWOL mode, right? And he has to separate himself. There's a backup. And I think that's an indication of not necessarily being as close to his needs as he probably needs to be. Yeah, I think there's an attraction issue probably there as well. But what we're seeing is somebody I feel like is not also being close to what he needs and wants, because then you can filter it out. And also because he's probably dismissive, avoidant in this aspect, he's also probably not being very true. He's not keeping her honest and being real and saying, listen, I can't do this, but he's going to try and force himself and push himself to try and do it and get to the end. And then he'll be like, actually, once my back's against the wall and I'm at the very end, he'll quit. But at that point, you'd have dragged him along and should have got emotional at that point too. So I think that's a problem that he has to start looking at, because he can do it, but he is constantly in a space of trying to navigate the fear of the pressure that he has to make a choice right now. Okay.
Other people who get married, no one gets married after 2 months.
Now, nobody gets married after 2 months. Why are you here then? Because this is what the show's about. You knew the show was about that. And that's the disingenuousness he has to also be accountable for. No one gets married in 2 months. No, but you came on a show that you do get married in 2 months. So if you know that already, don't go on the show, right? When you applied, I'm sure it told you. So you knew this. You've intentionally put yourself in that position. You're waiting for the perfect partner and they don't exist. A lot of avoidants are looking for this perfect magical creature that comes into their life, is perfect. They have patience. They know exactly what they want. They put up boundaries. They know how to treat you exactly. They love you in the way that you need to be loved. They can read your mind, and it doesn't exist. There is no person like that. There is no perfect person. So you need to get out of your head and you need to get into the position. Write down what your needs are immediately right now. What are your needs? and then put down what your wants are. What do you need? You need compassion, you need kindness, you need consideration, you need somebody that's patient, you need someone that's loyal, fidelitous, you need somebody who speaks their mind, you need somebody who's going to be of service, you need somebody that is able to prioritize you over other people, right? These are needs. And when you start looking at it from that perspective, you're like, oh wow, this person does meet those things. If they don't, get rid. Okay, if they don't, get rid. But now we're not getting rid. Now we're getting stuck in a situation. All right, so we'll deal with them in a second or two. Let's deal with the next couple in this episode, because baby, the Van Mai situation was crazy, bro. I was looking at her like she's nuts or something. I was like, what's going on? Why are we having a whole beef in the cribble? You know what I'm saying? She like, we're having a whole beef in the crib, and I don't understand why. Let's have a look at this conversation. I want to just get this conversation. Here we go. I want to get a little clip up. Okay.
I wanted you to know, but it was important for me to make you understand that, well, I was hurt, wounded by the fact that I didn't feel special or unique to you. So I thought, damn, it kind of put my whole experience into question. I thought, so am I the right one for him? Does he?
Now, let's be very real, okay? I want to be very honest with you. She's a crash out artist, and she needs to check it now, because it's scary to be in a relationship with somebody who's a crash out artist. Just as I'm sorry, like, you not only did it, you actually started talking about Kim and saying, I've seen you, the way you look at Kim, you were over talking him, you were basically letting him you were saying that you were saying things he hadn't said, putting words into his mouth. You were forcing it. And the reality is because it's the way that you want to be cared for and loved. You want someone to be all in, but are you all in? You know what I'm saying to you? Like, you want to be all in. Are you actually all in? Or are you waiting for him to be all in so that you can actually be all in yourself? And that's where it's like, okay, sis, the crash out is not necessary, right? Now, I know you want to see more from him, and I'm going to be honest with you. He probably was looking at Kim. Maybe he was. Maybe he's not as attracted to her, right? Like she said, obviously, you when we're having sex, that's when you want me. Okay, cool. That could be the truth. That genuinely could be the truth. Crashing out is not going to help your situation. You need to address it in the right way so we can have productive conversations. Because now what happens is and we spoke about this earlier on with Diona, you can't take back those words. You can't take back that night. You can't take back the way you crashed out. And I've got a wedding to prepare for. At this point, I would feel uncomfortable getting married to you. Because if this is what I'm going to experience in a marriage, I won't be able to quit. No, I'm sorry. I don't want to be able to do this. Like, that level of crash out is immature emotionally, and it's dangerous for the other party. They cannot exist in that place where every single time something happens, they have to be wary that you might crash out and say something wild. Do you see? So for me, it's like, this is something that you should be looking at and say, okay, this needs to change. I can't keep behaving this way. I need to figure out a plan how to better utilize my feelings. And like you said, you want to be vocal. Yes, be vocal, but not to the point where your vocality gets you into a place where you are insulting the person you're supposed to be with. And it was so crazy because you're doing it in front of everybody.
Well, it's never enough. And to Sabrina for her values, all that. She's pretty nonetheless, of course.
Why are you letting go of my hand?
No, you're being...
Are you serious? Now you're denying what
that
you
has
did?
nothing to do with it. I never said that.
You said beautiful? You didn't say that I was cute?
So all of this because he didn't use the right words. Now, don't get twisted again. I've already told you I don't like the words cute, right? Cute don't work for me, okay? But yeah, this was definitely something that what we knew this because we saw her in the pods. She said she's possessive, right? We knew this because she talked about exes with the previous situation. We know this obviously as well because she, like we said, she already asked him about his female patients and was talking about how, hey, are your female patients going to come in? And she kept on pressing it, joking about it because she was uncomfortable with female clients he may have. Sis, you're going to have to pack your bags. Did you not find out this stuff in the pods? You had this in the pod. So why are we getting... I'm like, you're about to allow your fears to cripple this relationship. It's about to fester in a way that's going to be uncute and very much problematic for not just you, but also your relationship. And we saw that coming because the spiraling that she was encountering, right, was really because she felt like she wasn't being secured in the relationship. She needed him to say certain things, and she didn't feel like he actually wanted her. Now, do I think he wants her? It's hard to say. It's hard to say. The chicken or the egg. Does he like her, but maybe he's scared of her crash outs? Or does he not like her, but still scared of her crash outs? It's hard to say. You know what I mean? But he's clearly more of a slow burner and a bit more quieter as well, a bit more introverted. Even his sister said it. You know, he's a bit more introverted. So he's not going to be as loud as other people, which I was like, okay, cool. That's probably why he's not going to be as boisterous in that particular space. Okay. Okay, cool. Okay, let's get to this. Let's get to Thomas and Thomas. Yeah, we'll get to Thomas and Kim as well, because I think that was an important conversation that was had as well. Okay.
For that, because I understand. But on the other hand, it also brings up that part of me, that bit of insecurity.
Of course, yeah.
And so in order to be able
Oh, sorry, wrong clip. Wrong clip. I do apologize. I clicked on the wrong part. I was trying to click the I was trying to get the part where she spoke to Clement. I was like, what, bro? I was like, why did she? Okay. I was like, okay, Kim didn't choose Clement, but the conversation between you and Clement, you're better suited for Clement. Here's the reality. Why I'll tell you why she didn't choose Clement. I'll tell you why. And this is where it's going to be very difficult. Okay, so Kim and Thomas, why did she not choose Clement? I'll tell you why. Because he's boring. Simple as. He's boring. And this is where it makes it also difficult, because Kim doesn't want him to be boring, but the reality of the situation is that you punish Thomas for being unboring too, because he comes with certain characteristics that are not, quote unquote, classy, that are not, quote unquote, your level, are not, quote unquote, bougie, are not, quote unquote, a certain standard for you. And we know how we know that because of episode 7, right? And like I always tell you, I'm going to tell you, please don't date any woman that thinks that you're ugly to her. Forget it. I'm telling you. Dating these ladies that think you're ugly is a madness to me. And I'm jumping ahead of myself a little bit. In episode 7, like I said, when she said, oh, I had to get over his physical appearance, I said, oh, sis, okay, now it makes sense. And I keep saying it, like, when you date these people and you make them angry, the realness of how they feel about your ugly self will come out. Yes, you're ugly to them, and that's okay. But listen, when you choose these ladies, when they get angry, when they get pissed off, when they're hurt, the first thing they go for is the very thing that they know really is, they feel like they think about you anyway. You're ugly, you know what I'm saying to you? You're not bougie, you don't have cutlery skills. That's what she went for. That's what she went for. Crash out. But I'll talk about that in episode 7 breakdown. You know what I mean? I'm just chopping it up spot. But yeah, Clement's boring. That's the honest truth. How she sees him, he's boring.
Oh my God.
It's interesting to finally talk.
I know.
He's boring because he's very vertical, right? Okay. All right. He's boring because he's very vertical. What does that mean? It means that whilst he's very classy, he's got it all together, all that kind of stuff, he don't make her juices flow. Not like that. What I mean by that, in the sense of there's no edge to him. With Thomas, there's an edge. And that edge makes Kim feel alive. So that's why she said, I went with my heart. No, you went with whatever made your edge. The edge. You went with the edge. Because what Clement was bringing you to was very much black and white picture. You wanted some color. Thomas is that color, but you also resent him for having color. Okay? Cerebral, I like that. Right? So the very thing that she likes Thomas for is the very same thing she resents him for, because that edge comes with the fact that he's not the same like you. He didn't come from he's not cut from the same cloth. You know what I mean? He might be financially as astute as you, but he doesn't come from the same place. So his mindset's completely different. Completely different. And that's what makes it difficult for Kim. Her heart is telling her, you know, it's definitely Thomas, but her head will probably tell her cerebral. Let's deal with Clement. You know, that's what I would say about that. Okay, let's look at Charles and Julie, because they moved in, and I was like, bro, like, I was good to get some background on Charles and Julie because we heard a lot more. Charles and Julie. Let's quickly Oh, sorry.
After his mom passed, he had to fend for himself.
Okay, so before I get copyright, yeah, no. So Charles and Julie in episode 6 were also quite interesting, right? I say that because what we saw with Charles and Julie is we got some greater depth. Okay, we got some deeper depth with Charles and Julie. We saw more of their conversation, but we also saw more of Charles. We got a better understanding of him coming from a background where he had to fight for it all. And she loved that. She said she loved the fact that he had to fight for it to make it happen. And she can trust that when things go wrong, he's going to be a dependable kind of man. And I believe that. You know, I can see that. He'll be a dependable kind of man. I see that. Again, does he get her juices tingling? Does Charles get it? Now, I know they slept together in episode 7, but I'm saying to you, does he get the juices tingling? Now, is that the be all and end all? No, but why do we need to be settling for people that don't even move us? You know? Why do we have to settle for people that don't move us? I don't think we need to. So, for me personally, I saw Charlie and Julie in this episode, and I was like, okay. Well, it's nice to see we've got some background. It's nice to see that they're getting along, and there's no real problems per se right now, apart from the fact that we know that she doesn't necessarily fancy him like that. And other than that, they weren't really saying anything too difficult. You get me? They weren't saying anything too crazy. Let's talk obviously then quickly about you know, of Tatiana and Yanick, and then we'll deal with them in episode 7 as well. Okay, I'll deal with them in episode 7 too, Yanick and Tatiana, because I think there's something to discuss with these two in that space as well. Okay. All right. Cool.
My sister-in-law back then introduced me to a girl who's one of Tatiana's best friends. I never have set up dates.
Well, let's hope it's not an SK 2.0. But okay, Tatiana and Yanick. What's their issue? Okay, let me be honest with you with Yanick and Tatiana. Okay, I'm gonna do episode 6 and episode 7 back to back for you guys. Okay, the issue of the issue of Yanick and Tatiana is that their communication problems are coming from the fact they both want control. Tatiana doesn't show it the same way that he does. Right, his control is that he wants control. He wants to make sure that he doesn't get told what to do and that he doesn't have to go where she wants to go. For her, the control is that she needs to have things her way because she's got a child and she needs it to go the way that she wants it to go. Now, we can see why, because in episode 7, the way her mum came in, we know why she is the way she is now. Okay. But what we see with Tatiana and Yanick in this episode, okay, is this exit situation.
So she's your ex?
Yes, we dated. Yeah.
For a while?
No.
Now Tatiana started spiraling in this space, and I'm not gonna cuss her out because I can understand how that could be a bit crazy. But Tatiana started spiraling here. Now, what was really powerful in this moment was what he did. In this moment when she started spiraling, she needs someone she needs someone like this man. I can't lie to you. Maybe not. Doesn't have to be exactly him, but she needs someone like him. Because when she was spiraling, there's something that he did which was very powerful, right? He didn't seek to try and blame her, cuss her, escalate the situation. He wanted to solve it by making sure, he kind of spoke to her, right, in a way that would honor her and that would also make sure that she can also not be spiraling as much.
Remember, even when we're cold, we bring some heat. Even when we're cold.
We all have a past. Or else someone.
Now, at this point, she was not going to have anything. Now, what I would say is, okay, all right. What I would say is the difficulty on that situation is, whilst I do believe that Yanick did a great thing in terms of wanting to go over there, comforting her, making sure that she's good, blah, blah, it did also sound like she didn't want to be comforted in that moment. And sometimes you just got to take the loss. It's not even a loss. Sometimes you got to take okay, you're not ready to talk. Let's talk about this later on. I think that would have been better for him because even when he hugged her, her hands were in. And that for me is where I was like, okay, she's not ready to have that. She's not ready to de-escalate. So you may have just leave her to it. Because if you hug somebody when they're not really ready to, this can also be very frustrating. It can be a boundary issue as well, and it can come up later on as resentment. So let's just make sure. But it, I like the idea of it, of him like, hey, let's remember what we said to each other. We're gonna keep a little bit of warmth in this relationship. Let's not. But he may also be uncomfortable with her feeling out of sorts or dysregulated in her emotions, because her dysregulation makes him feel dysregulated. So that could also be a case as to why he wanted to regulate her and co-regulate in that moment with her in that scene, rather than it being a situation where it's like, this is a great practice to do. So I think that was quite an interesting situation, especially with the exes. And what was also revealing was this conversation around, I think it was around Mania's point
about that step. The thought of you meeting him makes me happy because I have feelings for you. I'm in love with you.
Do you have any fear?
All right, so let's be honest, okay? Now, I want to be honest with you, okay? Let's be honest. He don't ask about your kid because he don't care. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be honest with you. He don't ask about your kid because it's not the most important thing. You know what I mean? He don't ask about the kid because it's not the most important thing to him, but it's the most important thing to you. He don't have a kid, so it's very hard to conceptualize the idea of asking more about the kid, because right now you probably just want to enjoy the moment and the mystery of us two in a scenario. And it's not like he doesn't like, it's not like he hates you per se, but it's more of a case of, I don't want to ask about that kid because I don't want to know about it right now. You know what I'm saying to you? And that's where we're gonna have issues. And that's why she can feel it. She can feel it that he's not necessarily asking. That's why she asks the question. Okay. So I get it, I understand it's very difficult. So the aspect of the kid situation, I can see why I can see why it can be a sticky point for her.
What are you afraid of?
Well, if it doesn't work out, I'm not the only one who will get hurt. There would be pain for my son too, and that scares me. You single people, you can afford to.
So I do get her fears. Her fears are very real in terms of the fact that her child would also be hurt too, and it's not just about them two. I do get that, and I think there's a valid point she's making in that particular space. Okay, I think that there's honestly a place where the relationship that they have is actually quite decent in terms of chemistry. It's just a communicational aspect, and then adding a kid on top of that is difficult. So the reality is, does he want the responsibility? Because that's what he's going to be. Does he want a responsibility? And I don't know if that's what he's actually looking for. I don't think that's what he wants. I think he keeps saying yes, 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 but I don't know if he's actually subscribed and ready to be that kind of father role as of yet. Okay. And yes, I definitely hear it. Tatiana, obviously, as well. Well, I think, she is in this episode 6. I definitely can see for her that she wants to make sure her son is kept safe and, is in the right position in life. And I'm not mad at it, again, because she's a mother and she's a single mother at this point in time, right? So I guess she has to be a cub and she has to be a bit tigerish and make sure that no man comes in there that's not going to respond well to the fact that she is a mother. I get it. You know what I mean? You got to protect your child from any kind of madness out there. So I'm not against her being a bit more stricter in that position. I think it's wise to do so. Whilst you got the kid, you got to make sure you got good boundaries. You got to make sure you're choosing the right kind of person. Now that's episode 6, but by episode 7, all carnage breaks loose. By episode 7, all carnage breaks loose. Okay, because I want to talk about the mother conversation. Okay, this is when I said the relationship is done and he should not marry her no matter what.
You don't want to hear it. I did.
No, you're wrong about this.
That's fine. I'm
Because
not
first
trying
of
to be
all,
right.
you made the appointment. You should have been there.
I agree with that, but
No, but I'm telling you because
Look, whenever you allow your parent to scold your partner, just know the end of the relationship is coming next. I'm going to tell you again. Just know whenever you allow your parent to scold and berate your partner this way, just know the relationships are coming to an end around the corner very, very soon. Why? Because it shows a lack of, okay, a lack of loyalty, and it shows a lack of team. So unless you're ready to leave and you don't want to be in a relationship, then by all means, Tatiana, do what you got to do. You get rid. You know what I'm saying to you? Right? So I'm not mad at it. If you know you're leaving that relationship, then by all means be done. Then let your mom do what you're doing. But if you know you're gonna go back, if you know you're gonna consider him, this can't work. Same with him too. You allow you sitting there and letting this happen, you're gonna be frustrated later on. It's gonna come. You're gonna cuss her out later on. Because when you have to be so restrained in such a scenario that you're even trying to, and listen, I don't agree with everything he said, but he was trying to be very diplomatic, very much like, hey, let me explain myself, daga, okay, all right. So I think in that particular space, I was like, oh, yeah, bro, you ain't gonna win this war, okay. Right, and that is the truth. It was triangulation. It was an aspect of triangulation. Yes, it was. She used her mother to try to make him fold, and what she don't realize is that's not going to work. That's not going to work. That's not going to work. You're only going to lose a battle that way, and that tells me everything I need to know about Tatiana. She still hasn't learned the lessons, because if you're doing this now, more than likely you might have been doing this in a marriage, your previous one. You haven't learned the lessons. You haven't learned the lessons. You've got to learn the lessons. The pattern will keep on repeating itself until you learn the lessons. Okay? Until you learn the lessons, you've got to learn that lesson. But I also understood as well that if Yanick didn't apologize for being late, first and foremost, Yanick was protesting. I'm sorry, Yanick, you got to get over this one. Okay? You were wrong. You organized for a date to happen at a perfume shop, and you didn't apologize for being late and not being able to come. You didn't. You just said, let's just reorganize it for another day. Now, unless there's a part of the conversation missing where you told her don't go in the first place, bro, if you didn't and you're late to that event, you say sorry. It's simple. The fact that you didn't is pride, and the fact that you did that is also passive-aggressive maneuvering. What you're trying to do is slightly trying to punish the person. What you're trying to do is passively aggressively be difficult to kind of show a point and try to get your point across when you really and truly should have turned up. You get me, right? I'm sorry, bro. Like, you're disrespectful. Let's not pretend. Okay, like, I'm sorry. Like, you're being disrespectful. You knew you had an appointment. And then you know you're wrong, and instead of you just being out and saying, "Oh, you know what? My bad. I'm sorry." Like, yeah, no, that's my fault. I got this wrong. Let me reorganize this. No. Right? So this is why I said that it's going to be very difficult, because he's playing a role. He's trying to play like he's very cool, calm, and collected, but he's very passive aggressive. That's the truth. Okay. Now I even have to skip back because they had a conversation before this about money, and I knew instantly this was going to cause a bigger issue. Money is one of the biggest issues, especially, and I want people to understand this, right? Of course, those who are in Africa, like in Africa, and are really attached to those particular roles, this conversation is kind of normal, but you have to also think there are I call it the new school, those of us who've settled in different countries and still have our African origin. This conversation is kind of slightly triggering. Okay, and it's kind of triggering if you don't have the money either. So I'm going to keep it real. This situation here,
You have to contribute.
I get that, In fact, it's about your percentage
There's that and three other
of the wedding
questions.
costs. Okay, let's talk numbers. First off, are you more of an equal shares or not
You
equal
see,
shares?
yeah, this money situation I knew was going to be a problem. The money situation is a problem. I'll tell you why. Because as she kindly let, and he needs to be honest as well, right? I think this conversation always goes left, and I see this online all the time. Okay, you are entitled to want a man to pay your bills and maintain your lifestyle. Absolutely. I just feel like whenever this conversation comes up, without there being added extra context, what it sounds like is, as she said, if we don't have the money to maintain my lifestyle, then I become afraid. Okay, cool. So if I do ever go broke, will you support me? So this is where it works two ways. It's like everybody wants to feel safe. So the question is, okay, if the person can do that, if they ever went broke though, are you in it to win it? Are you in it to win it? So if that person can't make that money for a year or so or whatever, are you still in it to win it? Or are you now saying, I'm out? That's also scary for the other person too, because at that point it's performance-based. So everybody has a right. I'm just saying to you that it's a way that something's discussed that's really important. Otherwise, people get scared, and then people not being honest. Like he wasn't being honest about his.
How do you see this? And now you turn around and ask me.
No, that
how
way
do
we
you see
can.
this?
Me for me. Oh, okay, for me.
Yeah.
I'm really not in favor of equal shares.
Why is that?
I don't believe in it.
So what do you want?
You're the man, the head of the family, and you should be.
Now, here's the honest conversation that needs to happen. Here's the honest conversation that needs to happen. I don't think Yanick is broke, and I think that's why I'm saying that a lot of times the conversation goes left. The automatic assumption that someone's broke. No, he doesn't. He probably doesn't earn as much money as she does. Like, I don't know if he's broke. He might be. I don't know, but I don't know if I wouldn't necessarily say he's broke. I would say that in terms of comparison finances wise, she runs two businesses, right? So she runs two businesses, and we need to know what her expenses are. We don't know what expenses are. It doesn't look like they spoke about it. Okay. You know, so my thing is this, right? What will her money be doing? That's what you see. The conversation is also has to be two ways. He has to also ask questions like, cool, if I'm paying on these bills, where does your money go into? The profits that you're making, does it just solely go into your business? Does it just solely go into it? Or do you want to just be maintained as a lifestyle? Again, you're entitled to have that, but does that work for me? Do I have the financial capacity to run your life that way too? Because maybe I don't right now. Right? And sometimes when people are talking, they're not really hearing the conversation. They're hearing something ahead of them. Okay. And it sounds like he might have been a regular 9 to 5. It does sound like that. Maybe the way he said people might be on minimum wage. I don't know if he actually is, but the way he kind of said it, right? So again, this is a real situation in terms of lifestyle, finances, right?
Responsible for the household finances. Traditionally speaking, in Africa, when you're a male, you know you'll have to pay. However, you work and I work. So I'm not saying pay everything and I pay nothing, but I want to be sure that if ever my businesses go under, that my lifestyle won't change.
Baby girl, your lifestyle will change. Like for sure. Like your lifestyle will and again, we need to know how much she's making again. Because let's say she makes 100K, but your man's paying all the bills in the household. You lose your businesses, your lifestyle will definitely change. Like the house might be paid for, but your lifestyle of being free and being whatever you want to be with your money that you could do whatever you want to with would go. You'd have a different lifestyle. But again, nothing wrong with that. Again, once more, this is what you want. It's nothing wrong with that. It's now that he has to be honest about it and say, hey, my financial capacity is this much right now. I cannot sustain your lifestyle right now. The income you get and the expenses you get don't match mine. So I can't actually do that right now. So if you do go under and you need me to pay all your expenses, I can't afford to do that, man. I can pay the house bills. I can afford to pay that and do that and do that, but I can't do that. You know what I mean? So that the person also knows where you're coming from. But it's, again, this conversation is very difficult because people are attaching performance and value to output. So the money that you get is now performance and output and value, which is very hard to break. You know? So that can be very difficult. You know? Yes, interpret it as if I go broke, you can sustain us. Is that the same thing men ask for? I mean, listen, some men do, you know what I mean? A lot of men don't usually. I haven't seen that many on TV shows. I'm not talking about in real life, TV shows per se. Whether they ask that question, you know. Well, we do ask that question. What we're asking for is not necessarily can you pay all the bills. Are you backing me? It's you see, again, and I spoke about this on TikTok the other day, yesterday. I said a lot of times it's not that we want you to pay the bills. We just want to be appreciated for what we're doing. Do you get what I'm saying to you? It's very different. You paying all the bills? No. We want to be appreciated for what we're doing. Okay? All right? So it's that aspect. Like, if I lose my job, it's not the same as you losing your job in this society, unfortunately, just the way that we're reared and engineered. So the key thing for us men specifically is that if I do lose it, it's not, you're not beating down on me, you're not cussing me out, you're not like, you know, da-da-da-da-da-da. You know what I mean? You're still believing in me. Like, hey, you can get back on your 2 feet. I believe in you. I know you're going to do it. That's what we need. We need encouragement in that moment so we can get back on a horse and go again. You know what I mean? Not to feel like less of a man in those moments where I'm not my best. I'm not my full self. You know what I'm saying to you? Right? When I'm not fully there. And that's very difficult. You know what I'm saying to you? If a man goes broke, would he appreciate might pay bills? I've always interpreted it as you can step up. Can you say, yeah, I mean, listen, step up, but the step up is not permanent. It's temporary, right? It's temporary. And even then, if the man was paying all your bills and you weren't paying any bills and you didn't have a job, how can he expect you to step up? You can't. You can only get a job. You know what I mean? So in that particular aspect, again, it's about how do we talk about this situation appropriately so we can actually fully get the best out of both people. Because again, I don't think what she's saying is wrong. I'm just saying that again, we need to flesh it out. What does that look like numbers wise? You know, like what does that mean for us financially? You know,
because I have a husband and he makes sure to keep things afloat. That's important to me. Otherwise, I don't feel secure.
And see this, if he doesn't speak what is, and this is what makes it more difficult. He has to also speak about his thing, right? Because she said, okay, look, if I don't have a man that keeps things afloat, then I don't feel secure. And what he needs to respond with is, I also don't feel secure that my only purpose that it feels like is if I can't keep us financially afloat, you're no longer safe. So it's like, I get it, but also I have a fear too. This is where two people need to speak about their actual fears. Okay. All right. And that's the truth. That's a difficult part also. So there also needs to be a vulnerability on Yanick's part to also explain to her, it's also scary on my part. I don't know if I have the financial capacity to be able to match your lifestyle right now. You know? So that's the key thing. So they have to talk about numbers in that sense. Again, I'm not going to say one's worse than the other. This is more of a case of people just really being able to, you know, to really break down as well. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, listen, husbands should. I agree. Husbands should. But most of the country don't have savings that can go 3 months. That's most people. Again, whenever I say this, I always tell people, listen, look, the most average people, when I say average, most people on your area circumference do not have even 3 months savings. Even the rich don't even have 3 months savings. You'd be surprised people don't have. People don't have. You'd be surprised how much people do not have. They should. Husbands and wives, if you are working as a wife, you should be putting money away as well too. There should be, you know what I mean? Like this should be a rainy day fund. But remember, you're not one person. You're two people coming into a household. My money is your money, and your money should also be my money. This is why I always say that I don't deal with people who have a mindset that my money is their money and their money is their own. You will never see me that kind of person. It will never be. Because if I have that mindset, I promise you, the selfishness that I'm going to implore and the iron fist I'm going to rule that house with, it's going to be so much different. No. What I own, I'm not earning it for me. I'm earning it for the household. The house is in this situation. So I don't get to go, I do whatever I want. No, it should be that there's a conversation between both of us. You know? So this is really important. You know what I mean? That the household should be able to both work together. Now, of course, if you want it that way as a man, you want the woman to have her money and be her thing, that's your way. I think it should be a household thing. Our money pulls together because we're one household. You know what I'm saying to you? We're one household in that space. But again, like I said, I'm not saying either are wrong. I'm saying people need to talk about what their actual truths are when it comes to the actual relationship and how they're dealing with one another. Okay. Quickly, we're just going to talk about Sabrina plus Van Mai again, episode 7, because the mating of the parents, very, very important.
In relationships.
Oh, really?
For sure. I need to be reassured. I need a man who makes me feel secure so I can have lots of plans and grow as a person.
I think that's typical of all women. You always need to be reassured.
Yeah, but there are different degrees to that.
I've had relationships.
Yeah. So the conversation with Sabrina and the parents of Van Mai and the family, yeah, the family has every right to feel a little bit scared because they should be. Van Mai is in danger. That's all I'm going to say. That boy is in danger. Okay. All right. We are scared for Van Mai. Okay. Because whatever Sabrina's bringing to that place, okay, we in trouble. Okay. We need safety for my boy, because her being so possessive is nuts. Her being that possessive is scary. Her being possessive is trouble. Her being possessive also means that when you do anything wrong, she will punish you. And we saw that earlier on. Okay. She will punish you for getting it wrong. Okay. So that's really important. And so, yeah, I was like, look, we saw it from early in the pods. The crash out was crazy. You know what I mean? But now we're seeing with the parents and we're still kind of talking. She's still kind of talking in a way that's kind of scary. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, she ain't even curved.
Of course. Yeah, I came here just for you.
That's so sweet.
Admitted that she was very possessive. Is that hiding some kind of pathology? Is she a psychopath? I don't know. Or
No, not the sister said that she's a psychopath. At that point, the sister was like, listen, I am scared for my boy. But what the sister released as information was she let us know that, hey, within that place, you know, Van Mai in relationships has been a bit more quieter. And because of his quietness, I think Sabrina's misinterpreting his quietness and more chillness as him not being sold on her. And every time he's very chill with her, she thinks he don't desire me. And so at that point, Sabrina has gone nuts already because she started having this argument about freaking Kim. And like I said, now it makes sense. Now it makes sense why at the first mixer, why she asked Kim, do you find him attractive? What she was looking for, Sabrina, was to nuke all her enemies. Okay? Remember, I highlighted this to you on a couple of the episodes ago when they were at the first mixer at the honeymoon. And I said, why is she asking another woman if she thinks he's fit? Now it makes sense. Because you believe that Kim and her like each other, or you think your Van Mai likes Kim, whatever it is, because you accuse him of liking Kim. And that is a big boy insecurity. You know what I mean? Now we can see where it's come from. All right. Now we see where it's come from. And that's a big thing. You know, and that was a setup. You know, this is that. Whew, I was like, oh, sis, please. Okay, sort it out. Okay, we need to sort it out. Okay. Obviously, Thomas and Kim, conversation was interesting. Thomas and Kim had a conversation in his yard, in his cribbo. Yeah, Thomas, I need you to run. Okay. Thomas, I need you to run. You have a daughter. And I need you to think about your daughter. Okay. All right. I know that your friend came in. What's his name? Growling. I forget people's names, bro. I know Thomas, surrogate dad came in and really helped them understand each other. But I'm going to be honest with you. As the dad also, as a surrogate dad pointed out, Kim is very strong. Okay. Very strong. Okay. So,
friends.
Yeah.
And they had clothes.
No, you're
I
right.
had the same notebook from 6th grade to 9th grade, and when it was full, my mom said, well, find some money to buy a new one.
So you see, Thomas deserves to be supported in many ways. And this is one of those times where he needs our support.
Well, I'm here supporting him. I'm behind him. I haven't.
Okay, so this is really interesting. I think this is also, Roland, thank you. I think it's also a really good example of what relationships necessarily need. A lot of people are arguing, and they're arguing because they don't know the person's story. Okay, a lot of people are arguing because they don't know the other person's story. The moment Kim knew his story, she was able to have a bit more empathy. In reality, the situation, she's going to be the way she's going to be. But she was able to have more empathy because she now understood where he was coming from. And I think that's really important for many couples, that a lot of times people don't know your story. They don't know what you've experienced, and they don't know why you look at things the way you look at them. And that's what we saw with Thomas and Kim. Now, here's a key thing. Kim gonna be Kim, though. Kim gonna be Kim. And so Thomas got to really think about this. Can you handle that? I think what Thomas is going to have to learn through this relationship really, really quickly is to have boundaries. Okay? He's going to need to have boundaries and fast. Okay? All right? You're going to need to have boundaries and fast. Okay? So for me, I'm looking at it. I'm like, okay, you know what? I hear it and I love it. But bro, yes, you solved the issue. But bro, and also, did anybody clock? Oh my days! Did anybody clock that she's begun stonewalling him? He's about to be in for a whole lot of mess with this woman. I'm telling you, he's going to suffer. There was a conversation in the mixer when they were talking about the issues with that young girl or whatever situation, right? And he was telling her, saying, you know, you air me, you air me. Basically, he was afraid that she would actually air him for 2 days because she's already done it. I said, somebody who does that is weaponizing and is emotionally abusive. I'm telling you, it's going to happen. You're going to find out. We know this already because of the way she talks about you. But now she's adding stonewalling. It's going to be emotional abuse. And anytime you do not function in what she wants you to do, you are going to find that stonewall there as an emotional function to get you back in line. But here's the thing that's going to also destroy their relationship. Thomas ain't no fool. The problem is that he hasn't got boundaries. But what Thomas is going to do is be passive aggressive. Oh, yes. Thomas is going to be passive aggressive. I'm sorry. Thomas is going to be passive aggressive, and he's going to figure out a problem, how to get out of it. The problem is it's going to destroy the relationship and not fix it. Hear me out now. Hear me out. The issue with Thomas, remember Thomas, in the reason why they're having a fight is because a girl called Anais or whatever her name is came in and said, you were talking to my friend. And Thomas had not told Kim that he was talking to a girl that you know you have, whether I don't care if you spent 2 weeks or 1 day, you know there was romantic feelings involved. At that point, the moment you call her when you get back from the show and you don't tell Kim, that's a violation. I'm just going to be real with you. Now, I'm not defending Kim. I'm just saying that I know that when someone does that, that watch what happens later on. That if you keep playing with Thomas, you're going to find out that Thomas is cheating on you with 4 or 5 gal. Thomas is the kind of guy that he going to take all the crap from Kim for the next 5 to 10 years, and you're going to find out that Thomas has a bunch of women he's been sleeping with behind your back. And then it's going to be one of those stories where it comes out on Shade Borough, comes out on the Shade Room, and we're like, well, I mean, Kim was disrespecting him a lot. So to be honest, we see why it is. And this is the problem that we have with Thomas. His passive aggressiveness in not dealing with things, he needs to deal with it now. Now. Deal with it now. Stop lying and pretending as if you're okay with how she behaves, and actually learn how to address it quickly now. Because if you don't, you are going to destroy this relationship. This is not giving Kim a pass. I'm merely stating that this relationship is going to become toxic to the highest hilt. So she's also very much stonewalling and doing those kind of behaviors. She's scary to be around. Thomas is always going to be on eggshells, trying to make sure he pleases her because he is afraid to lose her. And that fear is going to cost him. Now, I'm going to say it again. Kim don't rate that man. And I'm sorry, I'm going to say it again. Kim don't rate that man. Now, she called him handsome earlier on, but I'm going to tell you this now. Okay, or she called him attractive when she's talking to her mum. But let me just say this now. When a woman gets angry and tells you that you're not good looking, you're not good looking. You were never good looking. I'm telling you that now. Okay? We know women that they hate that man, but he's still good looking to them. You know what I mean? She can't say those words about him. Okay? The truth of the matter is, physically, that ain't the one. Now, she may like him in terms of energy and all that kind of stuff, but physically, they ain't the one. Do you get what I'm saying, Chu? So I'm looking at it from that perspective. I see you too. Shout out to you. I'll be on in a few minutes. Physically, he ain't the one. So that's why she was able to say that to her friend. I've looked over the physicality. I've looked over the fact that he's not as socially different or whatever. I said, okay, sis, you don't want a husband. He's just playing you want a husband, not the man. You are just using him as a role filler. Okay? He's a role filler. Okay? All right? He's a role filler. And I'll be honest with you, Clement might get some action. Okay? Whether she actually wants that man, I don't think so. But he might get some action just to prove that she's not, just to prove that she's not wanted. He might get a little action. And I'm not talking about sex either, just a little bit of attention. You know what I mean? So I was like, okay, they need to sort their things out. So Thomas, yeah, you got to handle that. Don't try to gaslight the situation. You called a girl you should have never called. I'm sorry. I don't want to hear nothing else about it. You shouldn't be doing that. Okay? It's as simple as that. We're not calling girls that we know we shouldn't be calling. You know better than that. Okay? You know better than that. Okay. I just want to... Okay, so I think that's really... all the parts I want to challenge. Oh, okay. I want to quickly talk about the Sarah situation. Oh, Cynthia situation. Now, hold on a minute, y'all. Sis, listen. The city girls are down. Okay, city girls are down. I'm so sorry. Going back to a man who's short. Going back to a man that is short, and you know he's short to you, and he has combusted on you, and then you go back wearing your best dress with the puppy dogs out. Yeah, I need you to chill. I need you to chill. I need you to chill. I need you to chill, Cynthia. Okay? Because y'all ended up on a good high note. Nobody won. Everybody went home with a win in their back. But this is a loss. Okay? Coming here tonight to give him the puppy dogs is crazy work, Cynthia. I need you to pipe it down. Okay? We all left on a high note. Y'all left, you know what I'm saying, Chu? Now, I told you this why I said I would swim over the channel now.
We'll see if it works. I'll keep you posted. I can't wait to see Jonathan. We haven't seen each other since we broke up. But tonight, I'll admit I thought about him a lot.
Do you know why you thought about him a lot? Because you're mean. And when you're mean to people, you tend to start thinking about them after they've left you. Like, maybe I shouldn't have been so mean. Yeah, no, but we have to start working on those behaviors. Now, I'm not saying Jonathan's without his faults. Again, if he hasn't changed, this ain't gonna work. Because I'm telling you, if you're gonna be telling me that about exes, and you're gonna start spinning around the block about what you're doing with your exes, and I'm still friends with her after 5 years because we never did. Yeah, I don't want to hear that. But Cynthia's got a little bit of a mean streak in her, and she knows she got a mean streak in her. She actually knows that. That's not new to her. The problem is that she hasn't been called out in the way that she can change her behavior. The men that she probably dealt with have accepted some of those behaviors, right? Have got along with it, moved along with it, not necessarily challenged her. So she hasn't been pushed to evolve. And then she found somebody who said, "Listen, I don't give a heck. I don't care. I'm not." And not only that, it's happened twice. First with Maddie, and now with Jonathan. So it's like it's happened twice in a short space of time. That does something to your ego. So eventually it does shock you a little bit to your system. Like, hold on a minute. You mean that and remember in the pods when she was telling the ladies about how she uses her feminine voice, what she really was saying was, I have feminine wiles. I know how to charm men. I know how to get them on my side. So when that doesn't work, what do? It hits you hard on the ego. So now you got to come with plan 2, plan B. Plan B now, we're going to give him the body. Okay? And this is where people can get caught up and miss it and get into really bad situations. There's no need for her to go back. Okay, there's no need for her to go back. There is nothing to prove. You know what I'm saying to you? If you wanted Jonathan, you could have had him. You don't need to. So this going back is unnecessary. Okay, all right, it's unnecessary. Now Jonathan too don't need to go back because you know what Jonathan was saying. He's saying that she's wicked. Now if he gonna say he probably want to get some, he want to get some tambourines going. You know what I'm saying? He trying to start a little choir thing going on. And let me tell you this now. You gonna give a man an access to your body like this? You know what I mean? Like a lot of men them probably should be better than they are. We probably should rise above it. A lot of us are going to do it. I'm just going to be honest with you. You know what I mean? Even though we know we really shouldn't be doing it, and we know it's going to cost us, we know it's going to cause more mayhem and carnage, and you will be accountable. I'm just going to be honest with you. You can, but you have to be accountable. You then can't complain after and talk about how crazy she is because you just entered the pissoir of a crazy woman and you know she's crazy. But at that point, you got to be accountable too. So there is no winners and no losers. It's this case of two people that need to do better. You know what I'm saying to you? Two people that need to do better. Okay, so you know, I saw.
I realize now that I was rather uncompromising. I'd like for us to try again because he's not the.
She's doing everything as well,
I sometimes
laughing
even put my
heavy.
hand back on. Stop looking at me like.
I need her to put her hand down, okay, and put that trench coat back on. Okay, this one time I'm gonna actually back it. Put the trench coat back on right now. Wrap yourself in that trench coat and put yourself away, sis. Okay, coming like a 1950s superhero character. I need you to put that trench coat back on, and I need you to leave that man alone. Okay, all right, leave Jonathan alone. Let him go. Okay, that's what Moses said to Pharaoh. But anyway, look, my hour is done. Let me bring on some people to discuss this because, boy oh boy, I mean, it was some crazy stuff. So, yeah, we go and get that conversation going. But yes, my people thems. Dahlia and Easton, what we saying, man?
Where are we starting at? Are we starting with the Are we starting with Cynthia and Tom and Jonathan? Or what are we talking about this whole season?
I don't even know where to start because it's so crazy. I mean, this whole season, what's so far the season? Okay, give me your thoughts on this season so far. Give your thoughts on the season. Mm-hmm.
This is the best season, and I say this not because you get to see one side actually like there be a level of accountability, but it's the most balanced editing that you've seen. You've seen trash activity from the men and you've seen trash activity from the women. And typically you get, whether it be UK, whether it be US or anything like that, it's heavily skewed one way or another. We just got done with Javan and we clearly know that there's some type of manipulation in the editing and how they posture people. But this season and this arena of Love is Blind, you get balanced editing, and which is why you start to have form opinions the way that you do. Typically, it gets to the point where all the guys are trash, and then you get to the later ends of the season, and then the reunion, and then you find out like, oh, when it goes to the reunion, you start to see a little bit people's mask slip and stuff like that. But now, since you're getting a lot better editing, you're starting to see everybody for who they truly are.
Definitely hear you. Dahlia.
Okay, so I love this franchise. I want 20 more seasons. This is the drama that I was looking for, okay? Because US, they real hit or miss. UK, I'm sorry, but you guys care about y'all's reps too much, okay? So that mask is on real strong, but France, oh, I love France. First of all the women are mean. They're very beautiful. Their fashion game is on point. They're all mean. The only one who I could really stomach being around for a small period of time is Chloe and Julie, and that's not saying much. Okay, the Tatiana and what's her name, Cynthia, really let me down. I was heartbroken. I wanted to ride for them, and they made it so difficult. And I was trying to ride for the men, and then they came home from the honeymoon. Now they terrible too. And Easton, I think you're right about production. I think I was just thinking about this today that initially I didn't like that they were giving us scenes in the pods where relationships went nowhere. But then I thought about it and I realized, oh, they were doing that. They were breadcrumbing it so you could get like a full picture of how people operate. So that when they did get into relationships and they started melting down, you understand why it didn't just come out of nowhere. Like the perfect examples with Cynthia and what's his name, Maddie or whatever his name is. And how he was talking about how, ooh, you're real controlling. And at first you think, what is he talking about? Until they're on the honeymoon and you see how she's carrying on and you realize, oh, okay, he had a point. And now you can go ahead and call back. That's good production right there. So I don't know who was handling editing for this season, but kudos to you because you did your big one with that. So yeah, I'm liking it so far.
I also wanted to piggyback because the pod scenes also showed you how nefarious the activities were, especially on the women's side. We always get a little glimpse about, or people talk about, oh, keeping your main to yourself. But no, you saw more and more that as women started to like certain guys, they, you know, did stuff, and we've seen it. We watched Love Is Blind. It's nothing new, but I found that rather interesting. I also found Tatiana's saga interesting because she paired up with the guy that was cheating, who was sleeping with, or wasn't she with the guy who was sleeping with the people at the hotel? Then she just and then she was with Thomas. Then it just kept getting passed, or she was with Thomas, then she was with that guy, and it just kept going on. And I just was like, Tatiana just felt like they just wanted to keep her on the show just to keep her on the show. Like, if it didn't work the first couple of times, you ain't got to find somebody on this show. But it seemed like she was 4 people deep, and I was just like, they just passed her on. So we can get into a little bit more, but the pods was really good. The editing was really good. And I think that's why everybody is coming into it with a little bit more balanced approach than anything.
I love that. Someone said, French person here, not direct, they're just rude. So I guess they just spoke on that. No, definitely a good season. I think we got a nice balance. That we can see that, there's someone might say that the dating scene is broken, and we can see why. There's both parties here who are doing things that are not helpful and are not helping relationships between the two. In that sense. So yeah, very interesting from the French perspective in that way as well. Okay, I guess obviously we will start breaking some of these couples down. Let's start strong. You know what I mean? Let's start strong as we mean to go. You know what I mean? The main one I think we got to talk about. I think we have got to talk about Tatiana. I think we do have to talk about Tatiana and Yanick and their situation, because I think there's, like I said, I can see it on both sides, and I think, like you said as well, Darlie, that from the beginning of the pods, and you said this as well, Easton, that the pods really did give us insight to now why they're doing what they're doing. It's like perfect. This is the kind of storytelling we need. That the American version and the UK version, I need them to learn. I need them to focus on what French are doing and focus on that. Get your editors in alignment with the people who are telling stories, so we can bring it together, because now we can see where it's coming from. In usual seasons, we don't even, sometimes someone's acting mad, we don't know where it's come from. This is acting mad, and you don't understand why. So it's good to see that as well. All right. So Tatiana's leaving something. What's your guys' thoughts on Tatiana, Yanick, these last 6-7 episodes? How we seeing it? What we feeling that? Dahlia, your eyes have gone big. What going for the team? Why?
Okay, so I'm gonna try to say this as delicately as I can, because I was raised by a single mother for a long period of time, and I respect the work that they do and how hard that it is. I think it's a terrible idea. Well, actually, no, let me scope it out. I think it's a terrible idea for a single parent to be on a show like this, because there's no good way to make this seamless. There really isn't, because you are getting to know somebody in a very short period of time. Your child is not involved in this process at all, and you're effectively introducing a stranger into the mix, and then expecting your kid to just deal with it, and then hope, number one, that the dude or woman that you're pairing up with is not a psychopath, that he's has any sense of maternal or paternal traits, and then on top of that, hope that they like each other, which is already hard enough in regular life, but now you're trying to go make that happen here in TV land. That was never going to be a possibility. And then on top of that, you want to get with somebody who doesn't have any real experience around kids, doesn't really seem like he cares that much about getting to know this kid. I don't hear Yanick talk about that kid at all. Every time that conversation is brought up, it's Tatiana who's bringing it up. And it's strange to me that we even got this far, number one. Two, I think that Tatiana handled it all wrong. That girl fell apart in the pods, okay? She was having a full-blown meltdown. She has no business even being part of the mix, because right now she's not a healed person. So when she's showing up with these men, it's like she's apologizing for being a mom. Like her kid is a problem or something that she has to go figure out. And it's just like, You turned your kid into a problem. So that's how the men folk were seeing him. Like at no point did we ever really get a chance to be happy about that, or to even really hear her talk about her kid positively. Maybe she did. We certainly never saw that. We just saw her crying. And it's just like, ma'am, you're from what I understand, she's a millionaire, successful businesswoman. She was able to have multiple businesses. Her body is banging. Okay, let's be for real here. Her face card, that will never decline. That lady is beautiful. Okay, so it's not like you don't have stuff going for you, and it's just like, but you're leading with all this woe is me crap, and it's just like, if I was a dude, I wouldn't want you either. I would want to pass you on for somebody else because you made your life look like it's just totally terrible. And then I don't know if you guys caught this, but when Yanick and Tatiana were on their honeymoon, he said something that I thought was really interesting. He said that they had already been talking like erotically in the pod. So they had that on lock. And he's like, now it's time to figure out if we have all these other pieces into place too. And I thought, oh, so that's what you guys was talking. Y'all was talking candy to each other. That's why now you have to do all this extra work on the back end trying to figure out what your lives are going to be like, because you never actually had any conversations in the pods about day-to-day stuff, you know, the kind of stuff that actually matters. So you over here washing each other's bodies in the bathroom, and it's like, okay, that's cute. But man, you have a kid and you have businesses, scissors is multiple. We don't know what the heck Yanick is doing. We don't know anything about this man's life. That's weird. That's weird. So I don't think this couple was ever really gonna go anywhere. They're good TV, but no.
I wanted to push back a little bit because to me, it's not the fact that they didn't have a lot of time. It's really that Tatiana came in last minute. Again, she was talking seriously to numerous men, and maybe again the editing, I don't put it past them that they changed how they were talking to each other, but it seemed like she was preoccupied with other people, and then she was just like, I gotta throw a Hail Mary and let me go ahead and see if we can put this thing together. I don't think that they had those deep conversations. I put a lion's share of the responsibility on Yanick because I think he betrayed himself. I think he actually really liked the other girl, and she was the safe bet. But with Tatiana, when she's Black, they were getting very intimate and racy in their discussions, and he went with that over what tends to be quote unquote boring or safe. And so I say, Yanick, whatever you get is what you get, because you betrayed yourself at that moment there. You let the woman that you talked to this entire time get beat at the last minute by Tatiana, who was talking to everybody and their mama. Everybody and their mama passed up or did something to get themselves out the show. So in my place, I put lion's share 60% on Yanick. But I also like the editing where they make Yanick not come across as the F-boy, because they definitely did start to give him that job and edit at the beginning where they made it seem, because I was getting a little annoyed when a man got too many rings and too many bedangling earrings and too many necklaces and bracelets. Brother, let that go. But I ain't gonna knock him. He got his style. All the people is fresh. But I love how they humanized him, especially talking about how he was raised. But Tatiana, the story of this season is the men betraying themselves and betraying the red flags that are so obvious, and the women are different versions that you will face in the wilderness when you out there and you hunting and you trying to figure it out. Trust me, Tatiana, if you've dated anybody, if a guy, I don't know, Coach, if you've ever dated a single mom before, but the thing that's the toughest is that you don't get I won't say you don't get the authentic love, but that childlike love and affection that you get from a woman who doesn't have a kid, who hasn't had to face the harshness of life and had to like deal with that, is gone. She's, for the most part, it's void. And so it's all about the child. It's all about her son. It's all about her businesses. It's all about what makes sense, because she's had to either figure it out on her own, or she's been had a man do some level of atrocity to her in her past, and so it's tough. Also, she has a 10-year-old. This ain't no kid that you can just pick up and move to another city and stuff like that. He betrayed himself the entire time. Like, it infuriated me with Yanick and Tatiana. I don't know if her mother has imprinted on her, or if that's somebody who's not going, unless she does the healing, is never going to be able to find somebody. And I don't want to wish that on anybody. But another thing, I think, with dealing with anybody, you don't have to be completely healed to be in a relationship or be high functioning in your relationship. But I tend to see from my dating experience, and so this is anecdotal, is that a lot of single moms are so focused on keeping the life together, the child's life going, everything like that, that they don't get the chance to even heal themselves. They got some hurt that's happened, and they got to worry about everybody else, work, job, kid getting in school, sports, everything like that, that they don't get to do the work that needs to be done to prolong and keep a relationship going. And so I really would have wished that Yanick, one, wouldn't have betrayed himself when he saw the things, and two, I hope that Tatiana gets the healing, because after seeing how Yanick's her mama talked so savagely to Yanick and them people, I said, oh, the fruit ain't too far from the tree. But that's where I'm gonna land it.
Go for it, darling. If there's anything else, you good?
Yeah, circling back to that mama. I do not like how they approached that conversation at all. I don't even necessarily think that the mom was totally wrong. I just think that it was entirely inappropriate for her to have that conversation. Like, you lighten this man up. Keep in mind, this is their first time meeting each other. And yet, you know, all of this stuff. So that means Tatiana was running her mouth, chirping to her mama about how she felt, rather than talking to her man and dealing with him. Because notice how every time the camera would pan to her, she's not looking at nobody. She's just staring off into the distance, not even thinking about standing up for him. And it's just like, okay, so you guys are not a united front. You are poisoning the well to your mother. And so now you're starting off on a bad foot here. So every time you have a problem, is this how you carry on? Is that you go to your mama so she can go and handle your problems? That's not very mature of you. And my mother would never do this. My mother she's on Claire Huxtable. Like, she's all about like, there's a time and a place for stuff. And there's a time and a place. All that venom that she was given to Yanick, she needs to be given to her daughter, because your daughter chose this man. Okay. Your daughter chose this man who don't know nothing about kids, who doesn't seem like he's very interested in kids, who is iffy about this prenup deal. Your daughter chose him. So I don't know why you're giving him so much grief when you need to be talking to her. Okay. I would be the friend sitting on the edge of that couch, nibbling on my cheese and just paying attention to the
she didn't say a word. She just looked at
word.
She said, I think also within that, I didn't like how the conversation set, like how the mom is just going off about the prenup. Because to be fair, if I'm as kiddie as Yanick appears to be, and I don't think he's kiddie, I think that he's unaware. I think that not a lot of people really have discussions about prenups. You have a notary come to your house one day, and out of the blue per se, and they say, hey, you sign this and keep it running. No, I'm gonna go talk to my people, because let it be known, if I marry you and I gotta take, I got child support for this 10-year-old that you have, because we don't know the laws or the statutes or whatever's going on. I'd be hard pressed for him not to take every step needed to be taken in order to make sure that he has full understanding. But for her, she's just protecting herself. So Yanick I definitely think he doesn't care about, or he's not thinking about the long-term implications about the child or dating a single mom in its totality. I think he was thinking with the wrong head. And that's why I put 60% of the blame on him. But that 40% is going to keep Tatiana single for a while, because how she was so stuck in her ways in terms of like how things had to go, what the deals were with the kid and what city they were living in. even how they were going to do the financial deal, like that also took me about, like, this is 2025. I know that we want to be uber traditional, but the economy isn't set up for everybody to be uber traditional. And if you're a millionaire or you got all these businesses, you could, let's figure out some type of partnership or some type of equitable deal, because it doesn't make any sense for you to be making $1 million and or we'll just say she makes 6 figures and somebody else is making 5 figures and they got to cover all the bills, and you over here worry about, well, if something goes down, I need to make sure that my standard of living is up. No, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
It's wild, it's crazy, and that's gonna be her demise as well. It's just she wanted somebody to pick up the slack from her, because I'm sure she's tired, as many people are. And I say this respectfully. I know that we have people who are in the chat that are single moms, so I'm not saying anything trying to be divisive or offensive, but I'm saying with her in her situation, we have to just be a lot more mindful. Like, I know that, man, we want to take care of all the bills, and maybe you might want some just sit back and live the soft life, but it doesn't make sense. And for her to impose that on him and basically be like a requirement was out of bounds, in my opinion.
Okay, I feel two ways about this, because I don't think that Yanick was wrong to want an attorney to look over, especially if you have a family member who can do it. That's great. However, why wasn't he there at the notary or at the appointment already? Like, it's not like the guy just showed up on your doorstep and you didn't know he was coming. You know what I mean? So there's that. And I don't understand why they're having conversations about the prenup after it's already been drafted. And I don't know if that's a matter of editing, if they just like they cut it out of sequence like that to make him look bad. But that's weird to me, because before you can even draft a notary, both of you guys need to be on the same page about what's going to go in it, and then you can sign it. Because if either one of you guys, I don't know how it is in France, but here in America, if either party signs under duress, or they sign and they don't know how the prenup actually works and they get married, they can go back and contest the prenup later. That's why a lot of prenups have literally no effect in America, because commonly you can just prove that that one of the parties was in a weaker position and had no clue what was going on. So I didn't understand that portion of it. And I did feel like Yanick did come off a little passive aggressive in that sense, because it's just like, these are conversations that y'all should have had fleshed out well before then. I will say this much though, it's difficult to do when you have Tatiana who shuts down any conversation that she can't win. And she was like that all the way starting in the honeymoon, when they first started talking about money. Remember, they was in that gazebo. They were talking about money, and I think they were talking about a place to live. And she was insisting that he move, and he was like, "Okay, well, we need to be talking about this." And then she's like, "Okay, well, I don't talk anymore, so let's just end it." And it's just like, "Well, wait a minute now. This is a big conversation. We need some resolution here. You can't just shut it down unilaterally. That's not how marriage works." So, yeah, she's got some stuff that she needs to work out, and he needs to learn how to properly communicate, because that passive aggressive nonsense will make me want to choke the life out of him. Like, I'm gonna need you to put on your big boy voice and open up your mouth. You're going to start speaking, sir. You can't just go around checking out, acting like you don't understand what's happening. No, not cool.
It don't seem like they're going too far. So I guess we can wrap this up, but I just don't. I think Yanick is optimistic, and I think he's going down the sword the fact that he chose her, and he's going to push this all the way out. But between that mama, between her and the child, and another little quick tidbit, the fact that she want him to come in, it seems like she wants him to come in day one and basically take care of you and also take care of the child. That's coming in basically taking care, adding 2 mouths to feed. Like, it was wild to me that she kind of had these requirements, because it's just taking care of one person is a large enough ordeal, but another person. But Yeah, it just doesn't seem like they're gonna make it that far. I appreciate Yannick's hard work.
Yeah, no. I think, and I think obviously with the notary stuff, I was confused by that. I was like, I didn't expect him to sign anything. I need to look over it. I need to have somebody professional probably look over it too. Like, why would I sign something that I'm not, personally, I'm not personally equipped to look at? You know what I'm saying, Chu? Like, we shouldn't be forcing anybody into it. It's the very same thing we had with in the US version. It's like people need to look over things and know that this is actually a genuine document that I actually need to sign. It's not going to impede me later on or whatever. We need to read through it. You know what I mean? So I don't find anything wrong with that. If you wanted to hold up and wait, I find it concerning that she was more pushing to have the thing signed. Hey, I ain't even looked at it professional yet. Let me look at it. You know what I mean? Like, give me a bit of time to look over it before I sign anything. So I think that was a key thing. But of course, I don't know if he wanted to sign it later on. And that's obviously something you have to look into as well. Because if he then said, obviously, I need to look over it, but then never actually signed it, yeah, at that point, he got to look over that. That's something he needs to think about. Okay. Let's get our next one. Thomas and Kim. Okay, Thomas and Kim. It's tough out here. Thomas and Kim, it's not easy. What's your thoughts, Thomas and Kim? What's happening here, man? Thomas and Kim.
Dear Thomas, you're the scum between my toes. You make me vomit. That's Kim. Kim don't like that man because for her, she doesn't fit his optics. So let's go with Thomas. How did you betray yourself? You betrayed yourself with Kim because I don't even necessarily think he betrayed himself. So he didn't betray himself by keeping up a boundary. In the beginning, he came across as a really nice guy, really endearing, but he betrayed himself whenever Kim kind of tested him and he didn't say, hey, this is not how this goes. Like, he kind of gave silent concessions to Kim, and she kept taking larger and larger leaps each and every time of her disrespect, to the point now where she thinks Thomas is scum. She thinks he's a no good, lacking education. She want Clement. He don't know 2 + 2 = 4. She thinks she went to the finest private schools. It's not gonna work. But the problem is, it initially started with Thomas giving up these silent concessions. He's super uber passive aggressive. That man can crash out. Him and Alan from Married at First Sight, them boys are the passive aggressive crash out kings. It's gonna come. I'm telling y'all, he gonna crash out. And he's gonna do something super silent, like Kojo was saying beforehand. But Thomas needs to run, because also you don't want somebody like Kim to proliferate onto your daughter. She disrespects you. She doesn't think very highly of you. She wanted somebody who had a different optic and look. And Thomas, you're just a placeholder for a husband that she wants. That's all she wants, is a husband. She don't want you. It's sad. And Kim, she's a version of the type of person you'll find in the wild, who on paper looks good, but once you get to know them a little bit more and gets to know about how they operate, you figure out and you see why she's single. She's single because it's her way or the highway. She has basically orchestrated how her life should go, and she's pretty much willed herself into that. She's become a lawyer. She's well off. She's successful, but she's missing that emotional intelligence, that compassion, that nurturing. She's very much a Black Widow-esque, if you will. She's somebody who's probably dated somebody who was really, really successful and is always trying to match that or exceed it. And she'll never find that guy ever again. That's what it from my experience. But again, I don't want to be too anecdotal, so I'll just say that she's the type of person who has an image of the type of person that she wants, and she's already scripted out the wedding, how it's going to be, who's going to be in it, where's it going to be at, and she just wants you to be there, plug and play. And I'll land it right there.
Yeah, to piggyback off of that, I actually think that Kim and her mama are social climbers. I don't think that she was born into privilege, because typically people who have money like that, who were born into that upper class level, don't move like that. They're not they wouldn't be impressed by going to Robuchon in Morocco because they've been doing that their whole lives. It's just like it's like eating McDonald's for them. You know what I mean? Like they're not going to call you out on your manners, because that would be gauche. And they the stuff that she does, some of the stuff that she says, they wouldn't be moving like that. That's my impression from what I've seen of the few rich people that I've been around. They don't really carry on like that. She seems like somebody who's trying to get put on, like she's trying to get up into those upper echelons. And her mom probably had to sacrifice a lot to get her there. And I think she heard that Thomas likes money and he's an architect, and she assumed that he too was either in the upper class or he was trying to get in the upper class too. And she was all hot and bothered when Clement was talking about, international affairs, and I was hanging out with the president and we was going to conferences and stuff. And she's like, oh my God, that's amazing. Say more, like that was really a turn on to her. And it's just like, okay, girl, relax. But she seems she gives me princess energy. She doesn't give me that maternal energy that Tomas would need for his daughter. I would not want her around my kid. Absolutely not. She's a mean girl. She's a bully, really.
Even with how she was handling the dog, I wouldn't want to how she tell the dog to come here, and the dog don't listen.
From his leash,
yanking him. That woman, that's not the type of person that you would want to raise your family with. And I think that as us guys, we start to like mature a little bit. We also like to imagine who we're marrying and who we're engaging to, and who we plan on being engaged to, how they would be as a mother, how they would be as all these different roles, how would it be like working in our partnership and everything like that. And I don't think you can see that with Kim. Like, I won't say there's no redeeming qualities. I'll just say that some of the qualities that are an immediate prerequisite for a man who has a daughter already, like being able to be a little bit more selfless and nurturing off the front foot, I don't think that she has that. And so Kim was interesting. I also did not like how handsy and how close she was with Clement. I don't know if it's a French thing, but in the South, I would have to be like, get your hands off my fiance. Like he had his hand right half an inch away from the bum. Ain't gonna happen. We would have to be fighting. Some furniture would have to be moving in that situation, because Clement is a dirty man. That man there, he said, let me go. He pulled off to the side, and he's like, yeah, I do. He basically hyped himself up, and she just was eating it up, and he just kept talking more and more, and she was just like, yeah, I'm a sapiosexual. Why are you worried about what you into? Why are you talking about that now? You supposed to be all about Thomas. I don't. If he sees that game tape, he need to let that player go. He need to let that player walk. Got to terminate the contract. Yeah. But yeah, Thomas, his lack in his youth is showing up in his older age. Like, I think that his lackadaisicalness with how he was just like, hey, this has happened to me, and as long as it's not this, it's better than what I used to live through, is what's going to be his demise. And I don't say demise like completely, but it's for sure with Kim. Like, there's some stuff that you don't let slide, like how she's talking to him and how she's operating. He shouldn't let that slide, and he continues to do that, and she just keeps taking more and more.
I don't think she necessarily respects him, and to be honest, he kind of doesn't give her a reason to, because I can't forget back in the honeymoon, because all this stuff we saw a preview of it in the honeymoon. After she and her little henchman Sabrina got done bullying Charles, Thomas was like in a panic, and you see him talking to the cameraman, and he almost looked like like he was silently asking the cameraman for help, like he's crying, and he looks distressed. And I was just like, you don't have to take this, bro. You can just leave. You can just leave. You don't have to sit here and take this. And I'm just like, this guy, stand up for yourself. Like you know, put some bass in your voice. Her especially, she would respect you more if you did that. And I think that energy, I think she had an impression of him that's carried on into their daily life. And that's how she rolls now. And it's just like, oh, she can just leave when she wants to and put him on red and don't respond to any of his calls or his texts, because she don't have to, because what's he going to do about it? Nothing. And I think I will say this much. That conversation with Roland, his friend, pissed me off. That whole dismissive thing because of his rough childhood, I'm sorry, but that doesn't fly for me. A lot of people have rough childhoods. Charles had a rough childhood. You don't see him acting like whatever his fiance is talking about doesn't matter. So because it doesn't matter to you, now it doesn't matter? No, sir. It doesn't work that way. Let's say that it genuinely does not matter to you. It matters to your fiance. Care enough about your fiance to care about what she cares about, even though you don't. There's all kinds of stuff that I do for people that I love that I don't give a crap about. You know, like I listen to my little sister talk about K-pop. I don't give a crap about K-pop, but I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna smile because it brings her joy. She cares about it, so now I gotta care about it. That's how it works when you are in a relationship with somebody that you love. So if you want to enter a relationship with Kim and she's telling you this stuff matters to me, yeah, you do actually need to pay attention to that. You can't just brush it off and then bring up your childhood every time that y'all have an issue. Are you going to keep bringing up that you had a rough childhood? Is this the precedent that we're setting now? And then Roland over here co-signing this nonsense. And as soon as she says something about it, he's like, "Oh, well, no. We're not attempting to say that this is an excuse. This is just an explanation." No, it is an excuse, because as soon as she told you she had an issue with it, you let that man carry on for God knows how long, and then told him, see, he had a rough childhood. This is why he's like this. And then nothing ever got solved. There was no actual resolution here. Well, Roland, we didn't need you for that. She already knew he had a rough childhood. She knew that already. So I'm gonna need him to sit on a bench and heal. And then maybe he can come back and y'all can press play on this conversation. But as of right now, I mean, it feels like it's just y'all gonna be going in circles for God knows how long. It's stupid to me.
They don't even need to have that conversation. She got about 15 minutes of sympathy for that man, and she back to dogging him out. Let's call a spade. Let's call a spade a spade. She got 15 minutes of caring about that man, and then she about to dog this man out.
Because there was no resolution. There was no resolution.
She really don't care about him. But another thing into this whole thesis is these, and I think somebody in the chat said it, these guys ain't used to having no baddies at all. All of them. Every single last one of them. I should have said this from the beginning, but all of them used to have, huh?
Yannick is used to it.
I don't even know if Yannick, because how he get talked bad to by these folks. I don't even know if Yannick is in that number, but these guys ain't had no access to no baddies, and you can tell. Yeah. These are nice, average, regular schmegler guys that ain't had, that may have came into their own a little bit late, and you seeing them. It's like, again, Kojo plays Pokemon. I play Pokemon. Dolly, I don't know if you play Pokemon, but you going against the Elite Four, and you got to start a Pokemon. You got you a level 22. Only got three moves. Ain't got the capabilities or the prereqs to even battle in this arena. And you sit them at the slaughter and they get one hit. That's what happened with all these dudes. You throw that Pokeball out, you think it's gonna be all sunshine and rainbows. They get cleared. So this is what's happening, and you seeing it in real time. But that's all I got to say about Thomas and Kim is you can tell these guys aren't really well versed in operating with the opposite sex, let alone a healthy relationship. Because even if you've dealt with toxic people, if you had healthy relationships that didn't work out, you have experience to pull from. I don't even know if they had it. They don't have nothing to pull from.
No, because I think one of them, Van Mai, I think he said that he had back-to-back long-term relationships. So like his entire adult life, he'd only been with like 2 women seriously, and maybe he's had some what do you call them, one-night stands, but that's pretty much it. So I think that's the case for a lot of these men. One last thing, and we can move on. That conversation with Clement where he had his hands all over her back and was rubbing all on her, I think what we were seeing in real time was a monkey branch situation. I think she was setting that up. So, you know, just in case, I got him, I'm a red shirt you. I'm gonna keep you on the bench over here. So when this one over here, when it don't work out, you already hot and ready to go. I think that's what was happening with Kim and Clement.
I definitely hear that. All right, let's move it to Van Mai and Sabrina. You know, let's see it to Van Mai and Sabrina. Crash Out artists commencing. What's our thoughts here? Because obviously Sabrina said she's possessive. Van Mai wasn't the original choice. The original choice actually was going to be Julian, and Julian then messed up by telling her the story, and she chose Van Mai. And I thought she did a good job because she chose a better person, more safe person, until we found out she's a crash out artist. What say you? What say you?
Van Mai. Now, I think he has the best fashion from the guy's side. Like he's the most, to me, he seems like he's the most normal. Him and his little clique with his family, they was all fly. I don't know. Chat, tell me if I'm wrong. His whole family seemed like they were fly together. They had an image and everything like that. The only person that stuck out like a sore thumb was Sabrina. Sabrina was it. And the problem with Van Mai is he is too passive, and maybe he might not know what he brings to the table, or he might be so quiet about it that sometimes you got to let that like bravado and a little bit of that arrogance show a little bit into your demeanor so you don't get played with. He don't show enough of that, so Sabrina's gonna play him one way or another. The problem with Sabrina, and I take this from my experience working whenever I was in high school, I used to work at CrossFit gyms and stuff like that. You either got people who are big and then got small, or small and then got big. And to me, it seems like Sabrina is somebody who was bigger and got small, and she hasn't like built in the emotional and relationship intelligence to deal with the insecurities, because she's probably used to dealing with somebody who might be, I'll say it like this. It's tough when the guy is the baddie of the relationship, and Van Mai is the baddie in the relationship in Sabrina's eyes. You feel me where I'm saying? Like in her eyes, I'm following you. I don't know if she was somebody who used to get picked on, or her looks used to be a very big thing to her in her past. She looks great. She looks in shape. I'm proud of her. But I think with Sabrina, she what people are saying, she don't think she's beautiful. She grew into herself. Like the way I might see her, I'm like, Sabrina's not an ugly woman. She's very pretty, very beautiful. She don't see herself as that, but she sees Van Mai as this guy who's got a wandering eye, who's the baddie in the relationship. And so she's got to do everything in her power to either equate to what he's liked in the past, or do whatever it takes to hold on to that. And she's doing that, but doing that in such a terrible fashion that she's actually causing him to push away. The problem with Van Mai is he's so passive that he won't say anything one way or another, too much, too little, anything like that. And he's just trying to fix things and smooth things over. It's not going to work. Kim, my apologies if that's how it came across. I just think that it, like, when maybe from my anecdotal experience, it's like, I don't think it's necessarily a confidence thing. I think it's just you can have confidence, but have low self-esteem in a way. Like, I think it's just she pedestalizes Van Mai, and Van Mai, and she's doing whatever it takes to hold on to that. So that's all I think the issue is. She's a little really, really insecure. But again, you don't have to be perfect. When we talk about people, we assume that they all have to be perfect to get in a relationship or get married. No, there's very high functioning people who still need to heal. So I'm not going to write people off, but Sabrina, she got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, that's Sabrina. She fooled me because I thought initially that her and Van Mai were well matched because they both strike me as people who are highly cerebral. Like they don't experience feelings. They explain the feeling. They kind of like they take a step back from the feeling and observe. It's like, yes, I think I'm feeling anger right now. You know, that's how she was reading to me in Van Mai too, especially with that whole situation with the other guy. She was talking through like how it wasn't even necessarily a feeling. She was just talking through what she thought about the feeling. And I thought, wow, she's really cerebral. That's unusual. But now I'm realizing that no, I think that he triggered her. And I think that I don't know if she's one of those people who used to be bigger and then lost a lot of weight, and maybe she just in her head she still thinks she's big. I don't think that. I don't see her carrying herself like that. But I do think that she's had quite a few relationships where she's been betrayed a lot. That's the vibe that she gives to me. I think that first guy in the pods triggered her, and she's like, nope, don't want to deal with that at all. Let me go over here to this safe bet because he strikes me as somebody who's very reserved and he's not going to cause any problems. She chose the safe option in Van Mai. And then I think she saw him and realized like, oh, he can pull baddies if he wants to. Like, nice body. He's a doctor. He got a whole 6-pack. He's got his life together. His family seems very nice. He doesn't need this show. He doesn't. And he's obviously been able to get full long-term relationships. So I think she got in her own way and she got into her head and like built up a whole thing where he's going to cheat on her or something. She's incredibly possessive. That whole scene where they were at the party, the little mixer, and not a mixer, it was a party. And then she started making a fool of herself and airing out all day dirty laundry. That was nasty work right there. And that was, honestly, she strikes me as the kind of person who would, she's the kind of person who would like key your car. She'll sleep with your best friend to hurt you. Like that kind of person where it's like, I'm going to be cruel first because in my mind, I think you're going to be cruel to me. Like that's the vibe that she gives me. Because what she did right there was very intentional because Van Mai had already told her, me and my family, my culture, we're very reserved. We do not air out our private business. We're real low key. We keep everything behind closed doors. That's how I roll. So the fact that she would do that, even after he told her to stop, and I know she feels that energy shifting in the room where everybody's mad uncomfortable. You killed the entire vibe. She did that on purpose. She wanted to hurt him. She wanted to embarrass that man. And in the process, she embarrassed herself. And even afterwards, the day after when she's apologizing to him, it's not a real apology because she flipped it back onto him and said, well, the reason why I did this is because of you. If you hadn't said this, you had made me feel this way, I wouldn't have needed to do this. No, ma'am. You a grown-ass woman. Have some agency, okay? You chose to do this. You wanted to hurt him. Start there. Have that honest conversation. I want to hurt you. And this was the best way for me to do that. And so I did. And I don't feel too bad about it, to be honest with you. Because at least you can work with that. But this whole fake apology thing, you can keep that.
I think two things. I think I saw in the chat, they talked about her asking about the women clients. I think that was a big, that pricked my ears up quite a bit. And also, I don't know if it's the editing, because again, the editing could be trying to paint her out to be a lot more insecure than what she is.
Yeah.
I'm saying that tongue in cheek, but when she asked his sister about who he's dated in the past, I said, and that's the first question you coming out the gate with. I said, ma'am, you need to go put that on the controller, go back and go get some healing, and then you can come back and play the game. Because right now, if your first question to his sister was like, not tell me how he was when he's younger, or making some like, oh, I love your brother. No, she went and asked about how his sister or his dating history, what they look like, and how they compare to her. Oh, you lost the plot, miss. Put down the controller, go back and get some healing, and then you can come back and play the game. Coach, what do you think about them?
Well, I think you guys have actually highlighted some really key things here. You know, I think, you know, they both, I can see how they can both like intellectualize their feelings and not really engage with them. So they're not actually sitting and feeling them. They are narrating them. And it's quite hard to fully explain it, what it means. When you're quite avoidant, this is natural. You kind of like tell stories where you kind of miss the emotion almost in a way, like the present emotion. You kind of like talk about, you know, almost like you're almost talking about yourself in the third person, like you might experience it. And I think that's kind of as a way to kind of, you know, protect yourself from being hurt, right? So you kind of distance yourself from the emotion so you don't have to feel what you felt really and truly in that particular moment. So I do feel there's some I do feel like there's some aspects I do feel there's some aspects in what they're talking about that there's some work to do on both sides. But I do feel like Sabrina just is a crash out artist, bro. And it's hard to deal with people like her because you need to be able to have a level of patience to be able to deal with when she crashes out like this. And I don't know if Van Mai has also the boundaries to do so. I don't know if he's vocal enough to be able to tell her, listen, the way you're going, this is not going to work for me. And you need to stop crashing out like this, right? I don't know if he is able to be able to do that because the way she handled that situation, I've been in those situations before, and I can't lie to you. Like I said, I dealt with a girlfriend like that. And I honestly, my thing was to say, listen, if you keep going the way you're going, we're ending a conversation. When you know how to behave, you can have a conversation. So I'm not doing this with you. When people are misbehaving that way, and you know they're misbehaving, you've got to let them know that this is no longer a safe space for that nonsense. And there's a way to do it without, obviously, of course, insulting somebody. Sometimes you just got to shut down a conversation. You know what I mean? Like in that space there where they're arguing, it would have got to a certain point. I would have told her, listen, why are we arguing in front of people? Stop this. Otherwise, I'm leaving this room because I'm not doing this in front of other people. You get what I'm saying to you? Like, I'm not about to have an argument with you in front of people. So it's a quick word like, hey, this is, we talk about this later on. We're not talking about this now. And you know, it's like, and I always say this, it's like school teachers who know that it's like children who know school teachers. People like Sabrina, they know when you're being serious and can push and when you're not. So when she's pushing, she knows that Van Mai isn't going to shut this down the way he needs to shut it down. Otherwise, she would have stopped it, right? Because once he says, listen, I'm not talking about this, she knows he's not talking about it. And that's something Van Mai needs to learn, right? Because you've been quiet in a lot of your relationships, and I hear it. I'm not trying to victim blame in this scenario. I'm merely stating what can be improved so you can be better in your relationships. Because you can be quiet and introverted and still have boundaries and let somebody know this ain't working for them. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to be this thingy. So I think that's something that he has to work on early. And it's hard because sometimes you don't see it coming. It feels like it feels like it's hard because it feels like, how do I say this? It feels like, how do I say this? No sense. It's hard because when you're not used to this kind of behavior, it feels like the world is closing in on you. So it's like, it's a very slow boil. So you're in a pot of water that's slowly heating up. And when you don't recognize the water is heating up, it's hard to deal with the process and the situation. And I think that's where Van Mai is. When you start seeing some of those behaviors, you have to lock it down early. Let the person know this is not inappropriate. This is not what we do. It's not what I'm doing with you. I'm happy to have a conversation, but we're not going to talk about it in front of people. Oh, you're talking about the girls coming into the office. He's laughing now, but he knows he was uncomfortable. I want to let you know I'm uncomfortable. You're making several jokes about ladies coming to my office. I want you to understand this is my place of business. My place of business, I don't play these games. When I'm doing my business, this is where I make the money. This is why I took my professionalism very, very well. I don't want to see you in this place coming here to stalk. I know you're making jokes, but I don't actually appreciate those jokes. Without that, it's a double-edged sword. If he doesn't do that, she feels unsafe. She actually needs him, and I hate to say it because it sounds so bad. I don't like the word. I'm not going to say that word, that phrase. But she needs somebody who's going to have stronger boundaries than she does. She's actually looking for him to have stronger boundaries, so she knows where the boundary is. She knows where the boundary is, but she doesn't believe in herself to be able to actually respect the boundary. So she's looking for someone to be stronger. This is not an excuse for her to come and do what she's doing. She still needs to be accountable. I'm merely stating what's going to happen. So without him having stronger boundaries to let her know this is as far as you can go, because it comes down to emotional maturity, like a child will do, it will try to test boundaries without that parent being able to be solid. So that's just my thought process in with them two as well. I see Dahlia and Liston got words. Go for it.
Yeah, piggybacking on that. I said this before about Kim and Tomas, but I feel like most of the women do not respect their partners, Sabrina included. To your point about, you didn't say it, so I'm gonna say it, putting her in her place, because I feel like she's that kind of woman who probably would say that. I can see that happening. I can see part of the reason why she was making that fight so public, pushing him so hard, was to see if he would buck up on her. And I honestly think part of the reason why people do that, because it's men and women who do that, is because, well, especially women, is because they want to know that if you'll enforce your boundaries with me, I can trust that you'll do that with other women. So if you tell me I will never cheat on you, I will never hurt you like that, me and you, we're together and that's the end of it, you can trust that he really means that because he's enforcing those boundaries with you. Is it a very twisted mindset to test a man in that way? Yes, it is. But I can follow that logic, twisted as it is. I get it. It's just that's no way to live. It's really not. And she's lucky that Van Mai is passive as he is, because if she had tried that mess with a real one, okay, girl.
Sabrina needs a
patriot.
Sabrina needs a patriot, like a real red, white, and blue patriot. That's what she needs. I'm telling you, she need her a red, white, and blue patriot.
Born in the USA patriot. Oh God, I don't. Ooh, that sounds real toxic.
Dahlia, the dark arts of it all has me rubbing my hands, because if that was the case and he had firm boundaries with her, he could be not having firm boundaries with everybody else. But she thinks he got firm boundaries with everybody. No, that's just for you to be in a little cubby hole, for me to play with you when I get good and ready. So, come on now. I'm sorry. I'm gonna be, unflattering. Van Mai has me looking at him side eye, though. It's the quiet ones that got you sliding down the wall. It's them quiet ones that got their life together, got their whole practice. I mean, it's them quiet ones. I'm sorry. And the way he turned it around and the way that the sister's talking, it's them quiet ones. More demure and mindful his ex was. It's them quiet ones. I'm sorry. Yes, she is fiery. We can outwardly see what her red flags are. But sir, you are here again, ended up, single as everybody else as a dollar bill. What are your issues? Because clearly it ain't working for the ladies out there in France. It ain't working. A doctor? Could you imagine if one of the ladies there, Cynthia, she wearing them high heels and, the back is hurting, and he had to hug and twist Cynthia to relieve the pressure the way he did to Sabrina? Could you imagine her not flipping the table that his patient is on? Sabrina need to go. She need to go. I'm sorry.
All right, next couple. Good chat. Like it. Charlie. I'm involved in this conversation. Charlie. I know we all gonna have opinions on this one. Charlie and Julie, couple of cans in. Issa, you got some opinions. What are you saying?
Look, Charlie's issue is he knows what type of woman Julie is. He's trying to make her an honest woman. And he knows what type of time Julie is on and what type of time she's been on. Charlie comes across as the good, nice guy, the lovable guy, but he's just like all the rest of them. You engage them with a little bit of smecks and you kind of throw that out there as your bait in the line, and they gonna get to moving. They gonna get to floundering around, and he might nibble a bit. And that's what he did, because old girl was right. She was a little bit more, I forgot what was the other girl he was matched with. I whoever we know which one.
Sarah.
Who? What's her name?
Sarah.
Sarah was right. She was a little bit. She wasn't going to say certain things on camera. She wasn't wanting to engage in that way, especially on TV. But especially not with somebody that she is only known for a couple of days. And what Julie did, she went with the "I'm gonna lay it all on the table" playbook. The problem is that Charlie knew what was going on. And instead of doing the right decision that a lot of us guys should honestly do, he went and thought with the wrong head. And that's why Charlie's in this situation where he's got to earn every little breadcrumb that Julie is going to pass on to him. Julie is trying to rebrand as a holier than thou and a reborn Christian, and this honest. She's trying to rebrand. Like, guys have been there before. You know that she has done stuff in her past, and you done dated, and you over here waiting around to see what's gonna happen, and you know what it is, and then she making you wait, and you getting mad. You over here crossing your arms. That's what Charlie was doing. She got that little purple plushie, and she pushing me into the other bedroom. He mad. He punching the air. That's what Charlie's doing. But he signed up for this, so he gonna see it through. Because that's the problem with the good guys, quote unquote. They see it through too long. He finally did enough to do his thing, and so he's happy. But he was getting upset. He was about to crash out. Trust me, that boy Charlie was about to crash out. And Julie is trying to rebrand, but Sarah called her out. She knew what was going on, and when she saw Charlie and when she saw Julie, she said, "Y'all two ding dongs can be together because y'all both ain't worth two bags of pennies, and so y'all can just be together." But Charlie betrayed himself by not making the right decision. He thought with his urges, and he was trying to please his flesh. And Julie doesn't really find that man attractive, but he does everything for her. He basically kind of he covers the bases, so she'll breadcrumb him out, but she don't really like him. She don't find him attractive, and it is what it is. Because she was talking all kind of dirty stuff in the pod, but now the first night we get together, you got me sleeping in the other bedroom. We got some problems here, but I'll land the plane there.
What kind of problems do we have, Easton? She wants to take her time.
You have all the power, and we are wanting fully consenting adults. But if you are going to lead with something and then do a switcheroo, I know you use your dark arts, LC, so I get it, but I find it problematic that she is trying to do a rebrand mid-season. No, ma'am. You was talking about the vibe and all that.
Not mid-season. Hear me out here. Remember, she started off saying that her past relationships, here's what has happened. The past few relationships, at least, she has been, good enough to sleep with, but not good enough to marry. You're saying rebranding, it's okay for her to talk about physicality, but now I think, she's also trying to follow a different pathway, but the problem is she's not initially attracted to him. That's the problem. You follow that with someone that will really challenge you being abstinent.
But wasn't she talking about the vibrator and stuff like that from the get-go? I think she doesn't find him attractive. One, there could be separate baskets for these things. Right. I think that she cannot find him attractive, but I also think that she wouldn't have said that from the get-go if she wasn't that type of person from the get-go. Ma'am, why are we talking through the pods about dirty talk if you ain't this type of person?
Oh, I see what you're saying. So you're basically saying she's only like that because she's not actually attracted to him. If she was attracted to him, she wouldn't be talking about.
She wouldn't. We all know that if you're a guy and you done been there before, you know that she didn't. We're not an idiot. You probably done something on the first night with somebody else, and you might make another person wait. We know this. You just want to be, if you're the guy, you just want to be the person that is the person on the first night, or at least early on. You don't want to be the person who I gotta wait and I gotta do all these different tasks and go through these hoops, because then I'm gonna feel some type of way. And that's what she did. That's what she did with Charlie.
Okay. I'm with you on that, Easton, but I feel like because you have an issue with Julie and how she's handling this situation, it's clouding your view of Sarah. And the reason why I say that is because of how Sarah, if we're just going to read this as a game, what she engaged in was really poor strategy. Number one, you don't give an ultimatum to no man, especially a man who's never met you. And on top of that, you don't give him an ultimatum with promises of nothing. Like she's not even willing to engage in a conversation about what could happen after they get married. She's unwilling to go there. You're doing this with a French man, okay? And I'm not talking about one of the French colonies. That's a very white man from France, okay? Them dudes want to talk about sex, and you're not willing to even talk around that whole entire conversation. So when you're touting your modesty as a virtue, he doesn't see it that way. It's poor strategy when the person that you're trying to dangle this little carrot over is not enticed by it, right? The reason he's enticed by Julie is because Julie is telling him what he wants to hear. And it's not even necessarily, oh, I'm gonna do this to you and I'm gonna do that. It's just like she's at least willing to talk about sex, and that's important to him. So Sarah, that was poor strategy. The only reason why that worked at first is because Charles I think he's kind of weak, or at least I thought he was kind of weak. Like it really didn't take much to pressure him, because that's all it was. Sarah put some simple pressure on him, and he backed off. And it's just like, your first thought should be, why is this woman talking poorly about another woman? I have no way to verify any of this information, but she felt the need to big herself up by putting somebody else down. She didn't say how great she was. She talked about how badly Julie was. That's poor strategy. It worked for a hot little minute until Julie came back with that full court press. I'm mixing up my analogies. I don't know squat about sports, but she came with full court press, and she was not willing to back down. And I think Sarah did not account for that. She did not expect that Julie would actually rise to the occasion and not just let her have that. So now it's a competition between Julie and Sarah. I don't even know if Julie really wanted Charles like that. I don't. And I feel the same way about Kim and Tomas. I feel like when Tatiana was talking about how much she liked Tomas, Kim clocked in. She's like, oh, not today. You will not be having him. I don't think she really wanted Tomas like that. I think a lot of these women were extremely competitive, doing way too much crosstalk in the pods or out of the pods, and now they're stuck with these guys that they don't really want or respect. I think that for Sarah, she didn't play the game well. Julie did. Sorry, girl. That's what it is.
My thing with Sarah is, how do we say we didn't ask the man for anything, but we gave him an ultimatum? Isn't that asking for something?
I mean,
that's for asking for him to choose. That is a pick me behavior.
It is. It's also poor strategy because if I understand correctly, she's basically asking him this one day before he would have had to make a choice anyways. So it's just like you're putting pressure on him that's really unnecessary. I guess she wants him to want her to be his girlfriend or something like that. But it's just like, Sarah, he was already gonna have to choose. So what are we doing?
We're acting like this. To me, this also is very real life. Like, women do this all the time. Oh, you like, not necessarily in this exact manner in this magnitude, but like, imagine you talk to somebody and you might have went on a date with somebody else and like, yeah, girl, he tried to talk to me. It's the same thing. This one's just a little bit more magnified, and it's a little bit, the scenario is a little bit different. Again, the reason why this season is so good is because it's really balanced. It also shows you all the different layers and how catty how maybe the petty and immature the guys can be, but also how catty some of the women can be. That's it. This is just a amplified version of what happens in real life. Normally, if it was a normal situation, it'd be maybe somebody who's 1 or 2 degrees of separation away from somebody. Y'all went on a date. Maybe y'all might have went out to get something to eat or may have hooked up. And then he talks to a friend of a friend and he's like, yeah, girl, he did this, this, and this. And then it just comes back to the friend. And then it causes all kinds of chaos or something like that. this is just a different iteration of that. And to me, that's all this is showing. But I think Julie or Sarah was horrible in what she was doing. She played the cards as well as she could, but the issue is Charles is a failure to himself. He's thinking with the wrong head. He's thinking with the wrong head, and that's the original sin. He over here because Julie is throwing out a little bit of bait of intimacy. That was the deciding factor. You see how he was acting before he got sex, and then when he got sex, how he acted completely different. I ain't got nothing to say to Charles, brother. She thinks you a troll. She thinks you are a garden gnome, and she gave you sympathy. You can put it in there. She made you sleep on the first night after she was talking about having the vibrator and all this other stuff with her little purple plushie, and made you sleep in the other room. And you know that she's that type of person because she's like, I'm always good to sleep, or what the analogy said, how people sleep with her, but she's not there to be kept for the long haul. That tells me all I need to know about you. Even though Charles didn't have this information, that tells me everything I need to know.
Point of order, please. That is Charles's plushie that she was sleeping with, the one he gave her.
Even worse. The imaginary friend gets some cuddling time, and I don't. Even worse. Not me. Oh, we gonna have some. I'm gonna be walking around. I'm gonna be opening and closing cabinets. I'll be making some drinks. I'm gonna be turning on the blender. Oh, nobody get no sleep up in there. But I
definitely hear you guys. You know, I've already said my thoughts. I won't say too much about them at all. You guys have spoken well about.
No, Gojo, you gotta say something. You gotta say something. I need you to.
Wait, before you do, because I don't know where you are with the episodes. Did we get to the part where Charles was talking about his childhood? Did you hear that part?
Yeah. That's when you're walking and he's talking about his childhood. Yeah. I finished it all, so you're good. You can talk about it all. The part was my childhood. Yeah. He shared that deep stuff, which was good.
Yeah. What's going on with friends? Because this is now the second man who's talking about how he's having to survive on his own, and
even a hardened man.
Yeah, hardened men. I was just like, yo, okay. I got a lot more respect for Charles if you came up about the ends, basically. Like you really I thought that was very impressive. And I think that's why Julie liked him, is because she said that. She said that she said that her family came from poverty too. So she's like, this is I'm not new to this, I'm true to this, basically. So I think they see each other on the same level. And maybe that's why she was willing to really hang with him and see if she could grow to be attracted to him. That's the impression I got, anyways.
No, I definitely agree with you. I think you know what's interesting? I think with the Charlie and Julie situation, I think Charlie did the best that he could do. He's using all the resources and tools that he has at hand. Okay, he chose the nice route. Okay, I'm going to be understanding, I'm going to be patient, I'm going to be all that kind of stuff, right? And that's good because it could pay out long term. It could work long term. It could work out in his favor. I'm also thinking about it from another perspective. Whilst you're out there in Egypt, you kind of learn a few things. One of the things that you learn out there, okay, is that you can't be nice. You need to be a little bit nasty. And when I say a little bit nasty, what I mean by that is you have a little bit of selfishness in you, right? And Julie clocked him from the pod. So she already knows that, and I mean this with all respect, please no one take this out the wrong way. She knows that this thing where she says, I'm not having sex with you, you sleep in that bed, I sleep in this bed, it can only work for someone like Charlie. Because another man who's like, wait, what? Hey, bro, lock up this thing, man, and be done with this, man. Because I'm not playing this game with you. Either you want me, you don't want me. Another man who has sense about himself goes, I value myself enough not to play this game with you. You knew what you were getting into. I don't understand why we're doing this. And it's not like Julie was saying, like, give me. No, you don't find me attractive, and we can tell. And I respect though that she told the truth because she didn't hide it. So she didn't make him guess. She didn't make him like, oh my God, like, is it? No. So I have to respect the fact that she told him the truth. I just think to myself that also part of attraction isn't just the looks. Attraction is very much important, but it's also the way that you carry yourself and how you hold yourself as well. And I think with Charlie, he's a bit like a puppy dog. You know what I mean? A little bit like a puppy dog who's got money. So it's like she's found her rich sucker. And I don't mean that he actually is one. I'm not saying he actually is one, but you see, you gonna make me talk some. It sound like I'm red pill.
No, go ahead. You gotta. There's no other way to do it.
Let it out.
You gotta
release yourself.
Listen, because after she said
I
in the
can
pod,
say it for you.
I'll say it, but I think because after she said in the pod, and I mean this again with all respect, when she said in the pod that, you know what, she has often led with the sexual aspect. And now she's found Charlie. That aspect is like she just nuked it there. And I'm saying that in the sense of, had she found a man that had more value of himself and really treasured himself, I'm like, that's not my, you know what I mean? Like, I'm on my business. She would have probably changed that perspective. I have a feeling she'll change perspective. She was able to do it because Charlie is a dog with no teeth. Yes, Elsid.
Basically, if she put it on him, she knew she had him.
There we go.
If she knew the other gentleman, led with that, whatever. If she knew she could already, I don't want to say control, but maneuver him with words alone. And when you see him, you know that you have a higher market value, and he's going to be ever so appreciative to be drinking your bath water. You know the type of control, and sometimes if you put it on a man like that, they end up not wanting to leave you alone when things are over. Come on now, we ladies, we know exactly what we're doing and what we choose not to do. And fellas know exactly when you get an opportunity with that lady and she gives you that and you don't want to ever let it go, that you will drink her bath water. Sometimes a lady's like, let me choose wisely, because we don't want to end up, with you constantly in our lives when we don't want you to be.
That's bang on. And I say that because also she's somebody, if you have led with sex before and you've led with sex quite consistently, you are also aware of the power dynamics that happen between men and women. You know how men can be twisted by this. It's not like to say it's evil or anything. It's not evil. It's more to say like you understand the game. So once you understand the game and you know how men move because of sex, that's why I knew that, okay, she can do that with Charlie, because Charlie is not somebody who's going to pull that from her. So it's like, first of all, she finds him unattractive, and then two, he's kind of like a dog with no teeth. And and at that point, when a dog's got no teeth, you can always play with a dog that's got no teeth. You can drag that dog to left, to east, to west, to north, to south. And I'm not even going to say she's going to even use him. I'm not going to say that 100%. I'm just going to say that she took her sweet time the way she did, because she's trying to really assess how much have I got of this man. And that man, I don't want to say that he actually is fully got, because the way he went cold after the sex happened, she might have miscalculated. Okay, because he went back into training mode. You can see that he's getting a little bit of bark in him a little bit. Yeah, because once he got the sex, he also too was playing his little game. You know what I mean? So it's gonna be interesting. Yes, Elsid.
It's interesting too, because if she's used to playing in Egypt, okay, like Kojo always likes to say, if she's used to playing in Egypt, this is a man that is not outwardly showing us Egypt. It could be a change in her play that you aren't expecting, in that whole Egypt play. But it could be good for you, because when you no longer have to play the game, sometimes that helps to relax you. But it takes a good player to change and pivot and stop playing the game. But yeah, he did turn cold. And I'm sorry, this is why I love these international shows. I'm sorry, we're talking about Charles, we're talking about these folks, we're talking about UK. I need us to stop out there in the internet talking about, us in the US and our broken homes and families. These international shows are showing us that it ain't just the US, it is worldwide. So there is in the UK, we saw and felt for Sophie, her mama left. We feeling for these folks who lose family members or family members use them, or they are truly struggling in life and have to pull themselves up. Again, I don't like the trope of it's us in the US. It is definitely international, and it's not just gentlemen. It is women out here, the mothers too of these cast members being, erratic. So, hats off. I've been listening to everybody's, conversation, everybody's backstory, and I'm like, this is wild out here.
Oh yeah.
Because also the age, I hate the stereotype. I'm sorry, but the whole, I have been, fed the, Asian population stick together and the mothers and dads stick together. And France has certainly shown me that there is divorce in their life. Their families don't always stay together. There is divorce. They may co-parent, but there is divorce in that sector as well.
Yeah, and I will say this much, because we was talking about how Charles got no teeth. That's not true. He got a few teeth. He got a few teeth.
That much better.
You see, huh?
Julie's ain't that much better.
I don't know, because when they back on that honeymoon, when the bullies was coming after him, really, he stuck up for himself, and they were really the only couple who were a united front. Ironically enough. I appreciated that. Julie, she stuck up for her man. She's like, not today, Satan, get thee behind me. And he stuck up for himself. That's when I first started having a little bit of respect for him. And then again, when they were at that, I want to say, was it at the mixer, I believe, when he had to push back on some people again too. Was it the mixer where that happened?
It was the second mixer.
Yeah, it was the second one. Okay. Yeah, so it's not like he can't stand up for himself. He's not Van Mai. I'm sorry. But out of all of the men, Van Mai, to me, appears the weakest. Maybe that's not the case, but from what we've seen on the screen, that's what it looks like to me. Like you can stand up for yourself. It's really okay.
He's the only person who has, him and Jonathan are the only person. Well, I don't even really say Jonathan, because at least Cynthia, she kind of hides it. Sabrina, off her rocker. She's taking the aggression to a whole nother level. Van Mai, I know that in the culture might be a little bit more reserved and a little bit more kind of in the background, but he also is dealing with like a level 70 aggression person, and he's like a level 5 aggression. Like it just doesn't match up. On the flip side, I think to me, Charlie is the weakest one. Charlie is the weakest one because he's weak to he lies to himself, and he's weak to his body. The only reason why he really he didn't care that Sarah did all that stuff and was lying. He only cared that Julie was gonna throw that cat on him. That's it.
Hold on.
That's
Are we conveniently forgetting when Sabrina was having that little conversation at the apartment, that she was talking about how they were getting together, having relations. We'll say that. I don't want you to get you demonetized, but they were having relations, right? He know that lady is crazy. He know that lady is crazy. He also knows she's a bully. He's still having relations with her. So
Talia, hold on, Easton.
Charles.
I'll let you take it.
Hold on, Easton.
By his smaller brain. It's not just him. Stop.
Talia, you have been around Little Black Book 91 long enough. You have heard these gentlemen out here liking a little bit of spice and toxic. Van Mai is no different. He is no different.
My argument is that Charles is not. You can't sit here and say Charles is being led around by his little brain when we got Van Mai over here who's willingly having relations with a woman who is crazy and who's out here trying to go mess up his reputation and make him look bad. He's willingly doing that. So sit up here and say that Charles is the worst at it. No, not when you got Van Mai. No.
Just
Julie ain't crazy.
Huh?
She ain't crazy.
Yes, she is.
No, she's not. Crazy. It's crazy with Sabrina.
I think that there's different types of crazy. Julie is the type of crazy who she's had I think people can have traumas in their life that can affect them. I think overtly affects in her response. Sabrina's responses are more overt. I think Julie is the type that has more covert issues. It's like, as a guy, and maybe I'll just add Kojo in the mix. Maybe he's had an experience like this, and maybe women, you've met somebody who's been maybe a little bit hypersexual, or you've met a lady who's been a little bit like something has happened one way or another, and their level of how they showcase their, I'm not gonna say crazy, but how they showcase their triggers is completely different and far more covert than somebody like Sabrina, who's more overt. That's what I'm saying. And it's almost more dangerous because you don't know what she's thinking about, what's going on in her head, and what she's gonna do on the back end if she doesn't feel safe. Because those are the type of people, if they don't feel safe, then something happens.
Easton, you didn't have to go around that mulberry bush. You could have left that one alone. Okay. All you had to do, and I said those words intentionally, all you had to do was talk about how Sabrina is a wildfire. She will just blaze out. She will just ignite for any particular reason. Julie, you saw her bite in the defense of Charles, telling everybody, mind your business. She is a sniper. And that is where I would be like, if somebody is like that with the others, when is your time to be between the crosshairs? How is Julie going to behave with Charles when he is between her crosshairs? That is where I'm like, she's a sniper. She is willing to stand up and tell y'all mind your business because she also don't want to hear about Charles and Sarah. That it ain't because she protecting Charles. I'm not going to think she protecting Charles. She don't want to hear his connection with another person. But when he is in the crosshairs, how is he going to be? Is he going to be like Jonathan telling the fellas, don't look over there. She going to look too hard. I mean, exactly. He could be fearful because my thing with Julie is she knows how to direct her anger and who to direct it to. That's where I will be afraid.
All right, we're moving on.
It's completely rational though.
We are moving on.
I'm sorry, Kojo.
We're gonna run out of time. No, it's not that. We're gonna run out of time, so that's why I'm moving on. Not because I would love to have a conversation more, you know what I mean? But we're gonna lose time. So quickly, we've got Chloe and I want you to have full time talking about obviously the other couple, you know, Cynthia and Jonathan, and we want to have that full time. So let's blaze through quickly, Chloe and Alexandra, so we can get some thoughts on there as well. Chloe and Alexander, you know, we didn't see them until a little bit later on. Or at least we didn't know why they were in the show until a little bit later on. And then we saw why they were in the show. It's tight. You know, Chloe seems to love him. He seems to love himself. Jokes. He seems to have the same love that she has as well in that situation. I want to get you guys' thoughts on this situation. Can it be saved? Can it be salvaged? Can it work? Chloe and Alexander. People are shaking their heads. Easton, why are you shaking your head?
His mistake is that he does the classic, I'm gonna slow roll this thing out instead of being very direct with Chloe. He needs to just go and say like, hey, this isn't gonna work. And what he's trying to do is not step on anybody's toes, not rock the boat too much. And that ends up causing more damage when you're trying to retreat out of a relationship instead of just making it a clean break. And he keeps dragging this thing along, and it's going to make him look like the bad guy when he needs to just tell Chloe, hey, I'm not really into you like that. But I think it's pretty standard. We've seen it year after year. It's like a guy, they're not really direct. They kind of slow roll it. They say all the right things, but get to the second last episode, they all question about the marriage, and then they either try to break it off the day before the wedding or at the wedding.
He loud and strong, Dahlia.
I care the least about this couple, and that's mostly because Alexander is so passive. There's not much to talk about. I did notice, once again at the honeymoon, this is very quick, but there was a scene where Chloe had the camera and she was showing video footage of Alexander doing, I think he was doing yoga or something like that, out in the little patio area. And she was just talking so much about his being, oh my God, he's so fine. Look at him. Isn't he amazing? And it's just going on and on. And I remember thinking to myself, he's never done that for her. I've never seen him or heard him give that same amount of energy to her, look-wise. And that's not good. I remember thinking that. And then I think in that same episode is when we see Alexander like physically check out. Like I didn't even need Chloe to say it. I could see him checking out. Like his brain was like up in space heading towards Mars. You could see it. And I don't know what his deal is. I don't know why. I don't even necessarily think it's anything that Chloe was doing. I think he just realized the gravity of the situation. And at that point he was just like, oh, I may have made a mistake. I don't really want this, but I'm under contract, so I gotta see this through. And I don't think that there's anything that Chloe really could do. I really don't. And I'm wondering now, because I know it's par for the course, and maybe I don't know if Easton or else if you guys know this, but I know it's par for the course that typically the women are the ones who sign up, and then they have to go recruit for the men. At first, I got the impression that the men this time around wanted to be there.
The first season always is. The first season of a country typically is like there's a flood of people, and then once they realize the backlash, then it's harder each subsequent season they have.
You know what? This could have been the first season where the French men, we would have been on their side, but then they kept talking. They started opening up their mouths and talking, and it's just like whatever goodwill that you curried from us, you killed that. So yeah, they're probably they're probably not going to come back. But yeah, once again, we see these women overextending themselves when it comes to attraction, and that's never good. And I know I don't adhere to this idea that the man should be more in love with the woman, but I do think that your man needs to be like almost to the point of fawning, being like, damn, she's fine. You know what I mean? Like you gotta let me know that you have attraction there. Cause like Coach was always saying, it's just like, if your man is not feeling you physically, if he's not feeling you like that, it's not gonna work. It's not like with a woman where you can do that slow burn. Men do not operate like that. And a lot of these men, I am not sensing that from them. I got that from Yanick, right? I could tell that he was physically attracted to her, even if he wasn't emotionally or intellectually. But the other guys, I did not hear them say that. And I think that's probably part of the reason why Sabrina was going crazy, is because, I mean, he wasn't doing that either. Like she had to prompt him to say that, and then he would say stuff like cute. That's a mood killer. Cute is for bunnies. I don't want to be cute. Okay. So I get why she was going crazy. And I'm seeing the same thing with Chloe and Alexander's relationship too. And yeah, that's a death knell. I don't, this isn't going to go anywhere either. There's no attraction. So
the reason why you have a hard time, Dahlia, is because we ain't seen nothing really between Alex and Chloe. Where did this love come from? Where? Where did it come from? In the pods, all we heard that his woman of long 9 years, high school sweetheart, cheated on him. She been cheated on. We heard Alicia Keys, I don't want nothing at all unless I have you. Right. And we are at proposal. There is nothing. You know, I am with Houston in this. We have nothing from this couple. What are we cheering for? What have they grown in love from? He had more interaction with that touch lamp at the bar than we have seen with her in the pods. I'm sorry. Why are we even entertaining them? They can go home because we have seen nothing. Nothing. So Chloe being in love, I'm like, what did Alexander really tell her? This, I blame production. We don't see the emotional connection for these two. And with the way they're producing it, it seems like Chloe just wants a wedding, wants a dress, wants this. She ain't even consulting him as to whether the family can come over on this day. Is this a good day? She is bulldozing through this life, and he is just being pulled along.
Well, I'm gonna push back here. To be fair, I get your point. I really do. But if I'm putting myself in Chloe's shoes, you don't have much time. And Alexander is over here talking about, I just want to take our time. And it's just like, this is a 2-month process. What you mean, sir? We already spent 2 weeks in the pods and then another, week in Morocco on honeymoon. And now you want to talk about slowing it down and taking your time. You need to be calling your people so we can meet each other. That's part of the process. Y'all need to be planning your wedding. That's part of the process. Y'all need to be having some conversations about what your lives are going to look like. That's part of the process. You're over here up in Mars. I need you down on Earth. So you can't you can't put all the onus on Chloe that she's going light years ahead of you. And it's just like, what do you want from her?
Chloe
Like,
is on
this
Mars.
is the purpose.
Chloe is on Mars because he is not showing any effort. So there's no reason to pull your family into this. She is not considering how he's behaving and what he is saying. He is like, oh no, I want to take it slow. Exactly. That's the point. So his silence is saying something. He's not bringing his family. He don't want, the thing is, my problem starts with this. Chloe, did you ask him, when is your family coming? My family wants to come on this day. And when he says that, I would tell my family he wants to go slow. I don't think how this is working out. You don't need to come. That's it. But she is pushing it because, as you saw, she is googly eyes. Look at my man. Look at my man. It's giving me that you're demonetized. And he's giving me that it wasn't that good.
Bingo,
that's what it's giving me.
Bingo bongo.
Ooh. That's what it's giving me. There
I
ain't
bet
no reason for her to be so goo gaga over this man, and no reason for him to still be sad and slumped over if he got some. I'm sorry.
I bet if she gave him a way out, he'd take it. He'd bolt to the door. If she gave him a way out, be like, I don't think this is gonna work. He'd be like, you know what? I agree. I agree. And he would keep it pushing. But Alexander and Chloe, yeah, it just ain't gonna work. And again, I understand that there's some power dynamics and stuff to go with this because she is Asian. So I know that there's on top of this, the natural kind of like how society puts a time clock on a lot of women. I know between my friends and family, there's an additional one with being Asian. So, I feel bad, but she needs to pick somebody else.
Okay, next up.
Now you have 20 minutes to break this down. So talk to me. A situation between Cynthia and Jonathan, the trench coat of trench coats. I need to understand this from a different perspective. Easton, you've opened your mic. Go.
Look, Kojo, originally when I heard your sentiments on Cynthia and Jonathan, I knew that my brother was lost. I think that you were too enamored with Cynthia that she weren't thinking straight. I was like, this woman is a glaring red flag. The issue with Jonathan is that he has an immense level of insecurity and uncertainty in himself. I think that's good. We know it's at the front door. That doesn't make him void of being in a relationship. I think he could be a really good partner, this, that, and the third. But he ain't never had no baddie, and not a 6'1" baddie from the Congo, and he ain't prepared for that. He ain't been equipped for these type of battles that he's gonna have to deal with. The attitude that she might have to, and it hurts and it pains me because she is a Black woman, so I don't like any of these tropes or stereotypes to be labeled upon her, but she bullied that man, and she came in looking like Blade, looking like she could have been a dominatrix. I said, yeah, you dealing with a different level of beast right here, and you're not prepared, my boy. Jonathan just isn't ready for this. And Cynthia, I think either she's trying to stay on the show or she's an incredibly toxic person. Very fun, but incredibly toxic. And within that, it will be she makes good TV. I'll say that. That's it.
Cynthia looked great. She looked absolutely amazing. She looked gorgeous. If you were coming in to slay, that is how you arrive, okay? That's how you reveal from the trench coat, okay? And she is clearly stepped into my web, said the spider to the fly, and Jonathan could not see that he was already entangled. I'm glad the brother had enough, wherewithal to stand up and say, I will not be moving into an apartment, because the international versions, y'all, they will allow, if they both wanted to, they will allow them to move into the apartment and start the journey from there. So I'm glad he had the wherewithal to say, I ain't going back on the show. Now, whether they didn't go home together that evening, I don't know. And production don't know. But Jonathan certainly fell into the web that Cynthia was weaving.
So I've been watching some of the other reviews on this, and there was a comment. I can't remember if it was on Jesse Wu's review or not, but anyway, some French people showed up and they said that when Jonathan was calling Cynthia aggressive, it wasn't actually aggressive. Because I clocked that and I remember thinking, that's bad optics. Why would you call this Black woman aggressive? He didn't actually say that. He said it was more like cruel. So that was just a bad translation. I feel the need to say that because I know other people caught that too. And I was ready to like really just like rip into him over that comment. But calling her cruel would actually be more in line with the other things that he's already said about her. This particular couple, I feel like, Elsa, do you remember Love is Blind DC, where you and Jay were on my ass because I said that I can't remember their names, but the couple, the guy with the earring and the girl,
Ramses
and Marissa.
Yes. Okay, and I said you don't need to be doubling back with her because she's a whole problem. This is what I mean. This is what I'm saying. So I feel like we all agree now, right? We don't double back, right? You see this girl, she's trying to come at you. You already know that she's a problem, right? So even though she probably would let you get with her, there's always going to be strings attached. You don't need to say yes to every goddamn body. This is the one you don't say yes to. I'm just putting that out there.
But you only get to that point. It's either you can't open the door and then close it like that. Like a lot of guys, I think Jonathan is somebody who's lacking in experience, and Cynthia got way more experience even though there's a 7-year difference. I don't think that Jonathan is equipped and prepared to handle somebody like Cynthia. Like somebody who's more, I guess, well-versed in maybe dealing with women like Cynthia probably would have like, okay, I know how to separate the one-night stand from me getting back trapped in the web. No, Jonathan about to get trapped right on in there like a ding dong. That boy, that's what's gonna happen. Cynthia in that situation, that probably would have been like, oh, a one-night stand, and for most people or some people, but he gonna think like, oh, she's gonna really fix herself. She's gonna really start talking to me nicer. Oh, things are really gonna get better. I love her. She loves me too. Okay, that's what that's how he's gonna do, and that's she gonna play him, or she either gonna play him real tough, or it's gonna go right back to where it used to be.
This is not her first rodeo because she was way too clear about what it is that she needed to do. She had her little blade jacket. She had them things thanging. Her hair was pressed. Her hair's been laid this entire season. I just want to point out that I don't know if she has a half wig or if that's a quick weave or what. It was wet too. Like she had clearly been in the pool at some point. And she was able to get it together. Her and Tatiana. I need to point that out for the women in the chat because I know they'll appreciate this.
Because why? Because we were going hard on AD about her hair. Okay.
Yeah. Oh. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That's how you do a weave. Okay. Because I genuinely couldn't tell if that's her hair or not. It looks great. Anyways, she knew what she was doing. Okay. She had her red lipstick on and she had a plan in place. This is not her first rodeo. I do agree with you that she would eat him alive. And I think he knew that. That's why he said he was scared of her. I don't think he's like physically scared of her, but I think he knew like energetically, this lady is a lot and he can't handle her. He cannot handle her. He can't handle, if she was throwing it back in a circle, he couldn't handle that. He can't handle whatever energy that she's putting his way. I don't appreciate him. He uses language though that gives the impression that she's like a monster or something. That's not cool. Don't do that. Because already optically speaking, you know how we come off. Don't do that.
Now,
I don't think we need to
Dahlia,
be policing.
How policing?
We don't need to tone police. If that man says she's aggressive and he over here having to talk to his band of married men on the side of the beach, and he don't want them to make any sudden moves because that might startle her, I think he has enough credence to make.
Meanwhile,
Here, wait a minute, Dahlia, because the folks I've been having my lives, and the folks from France been coming in, and they've been roasting her. That yes, her tone, her word choice has been cruel and cutting that man down. Cynthia is not getting the same benefit of the doubt that we would, because I was on my recaps roasting him for calling her like, you know, an angry black woman. I was and they had to pull me back from the ledge, saying no, because you're not getting the language, because you're catching the tone that she's sharp with it. But they said her word choice is very, very cruel, and you wouldn't talk to anybody like that. So I would caution you from going over that deep end, because you might, you know, I'm gonna pull you back, sister. I'm gonna pull you back.
Okay, wait, hold on. I don't like Cynthia. I don't see it for her.
But
I just want to be clear here.
The common thing with the reality shows is that there is a protected class. Kojo knows how it went. He was getting beat up left and right. I've been watching on the sidelines, and so there is a protected class. And so typically, if this protected class is in the line of fire, which it was with some of the words that Jonathan was saying, they gonna come after you. And they did definitely work, but that's why I said I hate the tropes and the stereotypes, because of the nature of who she is, but it actually fits in this case.
And if the roles were reversed and this man was telling her stop humming, if this man was you know, telling her how to behave, not what to wear, how to behave, we would be done with him. And then for him to come back at a mixer to say, you know, I really like you. Why don't we remember how it was like in the pods? Why don't we go back to how it used to be when we were all sunshines and rainbow? Come back with me. It'll be better this time. Again, if we change the genders, then Jonathan is definitely sounding like the battered spouse on the beach. If we see the entirety of it, I was like, Jonathan, you're playing too hard. I ain't totally on Cynthia's side, but you're playing this a little too hard. But then when I'm hearing the folks from France, I'm hearing all this other stuff, and I'm seeing her at the end. Why would you want to get back with a man that you say is verbally like berating you and making you feel small? Why are you trying to get back with this man? Because you know what? You want him back so you could dump him, because what he left, I want to bring him back so that I could have the upper hand and toss him to the side.
Yeah.
She said he was a good man. She said, you just don't let a good man like that go away. She said it out of her own mouth.
Okay, so I just want to make it clear here. I'm not pushing back on the language because it's necessarily about protecting her. It's just that I understand, and you guys already know this, is that there's this generalization thing that happens. So it's like, well, if it's because it's her and she looks how she looks, now it's all of us. And that's a problem for me. I don't like that. And I also, I noticed that even though there are other women who are doing similar things in this particular season, they don't get talked about in the same tone. You even did it, Elsa. When we were talking about Sabrina, you called her fiery. That lady's not fiery. She's abusive. That's
I said
abusive
fiery because
language.
she said fiery. That ain't what I would say about Sabrina.
Okay,
she said
enough.
fiery. She said she's a fiery Mediterranean.
Right.
I caution myself in using the words they say about themselves. Because if I wanted to say what I want to say about Sabrina, I wouldn't be here.
Right. And that's really the point that I'm making here. It's not necessarily about her, because I actually agree with you that she is, oh, I hate saying it. She is aggressive and she is mean. And we didn't even get to see half of what all she said. But the way that man was talking, he's being consistent about this. It sounds like on and off. She's actually worse off camera, which is saying a lot. That does not excuse Jonathan, though, because I have not forgotten how he was coming across at her from the first meeting that they had. Like, you're not talking about the issues, which is that you have a problem with her height. You're being quite passive aggressive about that. These men are very passive aggressive this season. So you've been passive aggressive about that. And then you say with your mouth that you don't have a problem with her height. but then you double back in, and it's very clear that you do, and
But
you
he
never
had to.
actually just have
He had to
resolution
have a
on that.
problem. He would be called Elf number 2 or Oompa Loompa number 2. You saw how that woman would tearing into Charles. They would have torn into
Yeah.
Jonathan
Oh,
too.
what? Those
I push
bullies?
back. I
Who
push
cares?
back on that because even most women they're not gonna send you out to battle having you look bad. Like if they really love and care about their man, they gonna do and acquiesce a little bit so y'all all look great. They ain't gonna have them looking good and then you looking like an idiot. That's why they worry about what you're wearing and how you present yourself and stuff like that. And for her to wear heels, knowing that there's a height difference, like in my mind, I'm like, do you even really care about this guy? Like, I ain't saying you got to wear on flats or flip flops. If I'm a guy, if I'm a guy, I'm like, yeah, baby, put on whatever you want. Even if you go out to a club, okay, yeah, go put on whatever you want. But there's also a little bit of like in the back of your head, is this what you really, the decision that you really gonna make?
She asked him, and he wanted to see what she would pick.
He was gonna say,
testing her.
She, it's kind of like, honey, do I look, extra large, like a super size in this dress? If you want to see what the person gonna say, you already know how you look in the dress because you look in the mirror. So why are you asking obvious questions? You know you want to wear the heels, honey. I want to wear these heels, but you could phrase it as a pool party. Is this okay with you? Both of them are testing each other. He wants to see how he wants to see at what level she gonna be at, and she wants to see if he would be as comfortable as he said. But my problem with Jonathan is he think she should know by osmosis that you should know how I would feel. No, Jonathan, we don't know. I'm sorry.
And let's keep it a buck. She was up in arms about height in the pause too. She was talking about that too. You think that they don't just vanish in one day? Some people are just a little bit better at hiding them, but she definitely was, that was a sticking point for her. She's just trying to say like, oh, well, he said so. Yeah, just because I say I agree to something doesn't necessarily make it the right decision. I think that there's a little bit of a test, and what Jonathan should have done, he shouldn't have necessarily told her. He should have been like, hey, I don't really feel confident and comfortable in this situation. Hey, I would appreciate if you wore some flats or a little bit, a little wedge, nothing too high. Some that makes us both look good. But if he's wearing some Adidas, some Sambas, and she's wearing some 4-inch, 6-inch heels, man, you're not trying to put your husband or your fiance in the best image and best light amongst the masses, amongst the people. And it is what it is.
I guess I have an issue with that being an issue, especially with people that you don't know. These are not your friends. These are people who they are a collection of individuals who got to be around each other for a short period of time. Y'all not going to be hanging out with each other like that afterwards. You're not. And it's just like when he was talking about how it would bother him and what are they going to say? It's just like, who the frick cares? This ain't high school. I don't have to care about what these people think about me.
It's not
You
just
don't pay
about
any
them.
bills.
It's not just about them. It's about how it's going to play on film, and then the rest of France is going to make fun of him. It's not. I don't think he just only looking at them.
Then he shouldn't be in Love Is Blind because that was always going to be a possibility.
Exactly.
And he flat out said, your looks don't matter. He said that multiple times to reassure her when she was all cryptic with him.
But she also said it didn't really have an issue. It was an issue, but it doesn't really matter. But she kept sunning him like his height. She kept talking down to him because he was at a lower level. I'm sorry. I think that also played a part in her behavior. Would she tell a man that's 6'5", stop humming? You annoy the heck out of me?
No.
Is she gonna bust up her chest to a 6'5" man that's 270-something pounds?
Absolutely
Ain't no way.
not.
Ain't no way. You try that on the person you know you could try it with. And she did. That's why she came out with the girls. Because what? That's at his eye level. Because he looking at the girls and he is hypnotized all over again. Come on now. She know what she was doing.
She was. She came in with that WWE wrestling outfit on. She knew what she was doing. She said, I'm ready to jump from the top rope tonight if you let me do it.
Easton,
Jonathan.
I thought you were going to say double D. I thought you were going
She
there.
did. Right. I said, Cynthia, now you gonna have the bazookas right in his face, and then he just folded like a lawn chair on a summer day. Didn't even try to put up a little fight. Didn't be like, nah.
He want to lay on soft pillows. Come on now, Easton. Y'all gentlemen know that's a kryptonite. Come on now.
Look, I just wish he betrayed himself because he knew that she was crazy, but he's not gonna treat this like some guys would probably treat this as if, hey, this is a one night stand, or we just gonna hook up and this is gonna be, we're gonna go let bygones be bygones. He's gonna get wrapped right around back in there, and then he gonna let her play him. Like Elsie was saying, she got him hooked around her finger. What she gonna do is say, actually, I don't like this. She gonna regain the high grounds. She already had the high grounds, but she gonna get even more high grounds, and then she gonna drop him off. But
here's the thing. He came ready for a fight, but he forgot what kind of fight she was going to come with. That's the problem. He came right before she walked in. He's like, I'm ready to see her tonight. I'm good. I'm ready. And he did not forget that the feminine wiles is also, could be coming to put him under attack. And he going to fold like a lawn chair and fold right in. That's okay, though. He stood his ground and he did not move in and continue the process. I'm waiting for the reunion because I want to know if he did fall that night and end up, as Easton said, in the WWE action.
He would never tell the truth, even if he did.
No, I think he would tell the truth. I think Jonathan would tell the truth.
And that's the bottom line. Well, ladies and gentlemen, our time has come to an end. Listen, I know we can talk about this, and obviously by tomorrow, because the world is not ending, we have more to talk about because the episodes will be coming out as well. So I think there's 2 more episodes that are coming out as well tomorrow in the France version. So yeah, no, there's going to be a lot more conversation I'm sure we'll have before the end of the weekend as well. So we'll definitely be getting into that. I haven't even gone to Married at First Sight UK yet. I haven't even got there yet. My time is limited. But listen, I know they're 3 episodes deep and I ain't got there yet. But listen, hey, thank you very much for the conversation. It's been a powerful one as well. Can't wait for the next one. Probably we can do it on Saturday. I think Saturday is 20. Well, might be early afternoon though. No, you're Saturday. You're already Saturday. Sorry, apologies. So maybe it'll be like a Sunday. We'll try Sunday, see, or Monday. We'll see next week. Depends if I've watched it. So I'll find out if I've watched it.
I mean, this time next week is good. We all here.
Yeah.
Tuesday or Wednesday, or Monday or Tuesday. We got plenty of time.
Okay, well, if it's Tuesday, we can do Tuesday then. So that's not a problem at all. We can do Tuesday because Ready to Love. Before Ready to Love, obviously that's the last one. So okay, cool. If you guys are ready for that, we'll do it for then. No worries at all. All right, cool. So yeah. Well, listen, audience, time is up. We've got to go. I appreciate y'all. Stay locked, stay loaded. We'll see you again soon. Much love and much appreciation. Ta-ra, ta-ra. We'll be back in a few minutes going to Ready to Love. So make sure you guys are plugged in for that. Appreciate y'all.